We're recording. We're supposed to be recording right now. Okay.
We are technically recording. We just can't use it.
I mean, we can use some of it. Especially Brittany's dolphin noises. Is that awful?
I'm trying to do a turkey, but it's a turkey and a dolphin mated.
Oh, how do you do a turkey noise?
Wow, you were just like, turkeys are just birds, right?
Did you like literally just... Okay. See, I was kind of close.
No, you weren't. You were going for a caca.
He's not a cod. I mean, it is a bird.
There's no caw in there. I like.
You know what I feel like would be really good at a turkey voice? Shakira.
What's good, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the What's Good Games podcast, your source for video game news, analysis, commentary, and funny stuff. You could have been here just a couple seconds ago.
It wasn't even that. It was when you said "What's Good Games," and my brain went to like, do you remember when everyone used to go "What's up"?
Oh wow, that's
like
way
the
down.
Budweiser commercials?
Yes.
Like with
and
the frogs?
my brain did that, and I was just like, oh no.
I was laughing because are we just not going to pretend like we were doing turkey noises literally 5 seconds before
that
going
happened.
live?
Yeah, that
Of course, you know Miss Christine Steimer,
Yeah, hi.
Miss Brittany Brombacher,
Yeah, hi.
and I'm Andrea Renee.
Are you just copying me?
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome to another episode 78 of What's Good Games.
We're almost octogenarians.
We are a senior citizen.
Octo what?
Octogenarians? Is that when
What?
you're 80?
Oh, I don't. This is a math question.
know.
I am not prepared
math.
to answer.
Octo sounds right, like an octopus.
Octo. Type in octogenarian.
How do you-
And figure out what it is. Well, we appreciate if you are here, whether it's your 78th
Yes.
episode with us or your first. Thank you so much for listening to the show and being part of our awesome community. A big shout out to all of our awesome patrons at patreon.com/what'sgoodgames. I want to remind you that we've got our happy hour Q&A for November where we have some cocktails and take your questions, sometimes a little too honestly. Every month, and that is for all levels of patrons, is happening today at 4 p.m. Pacific time.
I was like, what?
Well, not
No,
today.
I know. It made sense, but like I just had a moment of, what do you mean today?
November 9th.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So hopefully you guys will tune in. Of course, you guys can get that link over on patreon.com/what'sgoodgames. And our good friends over at Kind of Funny have invited us to come by and talk about this Xbox XO18 live stream that's happening on Saturday, November 10th at 1 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to go live around 12:45 p.m. Pacific time. So Xbox has never really done something like this at their fan event before. They have, of course, have had fan events many times, but they said that they've got an announcement and they said they're talking about Crackdown 3.
Yeah.
I hope to God it's not like, we cancel it. LOL, bye.
No, so the hot rumor, ladies and gentlemen.
Tell me all the hot
So
news.
Crackdown 3, the leak is Crackdown 3 Providence. This has been leaked. So the
Okay.
thought is that they could be announcing and releasing the multiplayer on Saturday. And then the single player content is to come free to play multiplayer with the story campaign paid DLC.
You think they're going to like drop the
¿Por
bomb like
qué?
available now?
That's what the rumors, that's what the kids are saying. I'm not going to pretend like I know a hot piece of shit about Crackdown 3, but I do like to pay attention to the children, and that's what they're saying.
That seems like it would probably go against almost everything I know about Xbox and their penchant for retail marketing.
It would be curious if true. I am looking forward to seeing what they talk about.
Yeah, it'll be something. I think it's gonna
It'll be
something. So
Andrea Renee ringing an endorsement for Microsoft's XO conference.
Listen, Linda. I'm excited
Linda?
about it because I, unlike anybody at Kind of Funny, I love you guys, but none of you are Xbox fans. You either don't play on Xbox at all, or you only play if you have to. And so I think like we're gonna bring some much needed perspective into that stream of PlayStation and Nintendo fanboys. We do love them though, so hopefully you guys will join us. It should be great. We are going to get into the news in just a moment because there's quite a bit to talk about this week. But before we do, I want to give a big shout out and thank you to Four Sigmatic for sponsoring this episode. We have been really loving our Four Sigmatic products here at What's Good Games. And if you aren't familiar with them, they are the magic mushroom company, but legal magic mushrooms,
Yeah,
not
not
the ones you're not supposed to have.
Yeah.
So they believe in the real magic of functional mushrooms like reishi, chaga, cordyceps, and lion's mane, as well as other superfoods to help us live healthier and more enhanced lives. They make drinking mushrooms and superfoods delicious and easy to do with a variety of coffees and elixirs, which you can browse at foursigmatic.com/WGG. Now, all of their products are organic, they're vegan, and they're gluten-free, plus they're instant. But the bottom line is that they believe life is better when we're hashtag on shrooms. Every day, all day.
That's great
Every
marketing
day
right
on
there.
shrooms.
It's pretty cute.
So one of my favorites, which I told you guys about last time, is the organic coffee, the 100% Arabica beans with lion's mane. Steimer, you had that today.
I did. It was delicious.
Did it
And
wake
in
you
case
up?
But I also put a marshmallow in it. So. But I always sweeten my coffee a little bit regardless. But yeah, no, it's like the thing I like about the company is that you really don't feel like there's no like earthy or mushroomy taste.
Right.
Like, you're just drinking a cup of coffee and it happens to have things in it.
Ground up. You don't see little
yeah.
chunks of shrooms in there.
That's the only way I will ingest mushrooms. So.
It was so funny when Four Sigmatic first approached us and I was pitching it to the girls knowing that they both hate mushrooms and eating mushrooms. I was like, but listen, it's not like you're eating the mushrooms, and they were so skeptical. But would you say that you're a convert now?
Yeah. I mean, like I still use I have the charcoal lemonade powder. I use that all the time.
I've been sipping on the hot cacao.
Oh, that's so delicious.
I actually want to
Really
get
good.
more of that because I have like a sampler pack of a bunch of different things. And I had the like chill out basically hot cocoa. And I was like, I need more of this in my
It's
life.
really good, and it's really festive with the fall season upon us.
Oh yeah, with it getting chillier and downright cold in certain parts of the country now. What's great about that is that it's got a nice, like, subtle spice flavor, almost like a little bit like a
There's
Mexican
two
hot
different
chocolate.
ones. There is a spicy and then
Oh,
there's
that's
a regular.
okay, so that's the one that I have is the spice one.
Got it.
It's really delicious, and it's actually very low in calories. There's a lot of hot cocos out there that are just packed with sugar, and that's not what you're going to get
All
here
of their
for Four
products
Sigmatic.
so far anyway. Yeah, they don't sweeten with sugar. They sweeten with fruit.
There you go.
So for the most part,
Natural
I don't know about
sweeteners.
every single product they own, but everything I have.
Perfect. So in case you guys were wondering what the benefits of mushrooms are, because they are a superfood, and we've heard a lot about superfoods in the last couple of years from nutritionists and people that kind of make their living working in the health and fitness industry. Things like lion's mane, the coffee I was talking about, increases productivity by supporting focus, creativity, memory, concentration, and overall brain health. So that means you can drink it at work, to study, whenever your brain needs an energizing hug, like during your long gaming sessions, which is something we all do. Obviously, if you guys need a little boost and you don't want to take perhaps like a sugar-filled energy drink or a soda that has a ton of caffeine in it, a lot of the Four Sigmatic products are a great natural way to give yourself a boost throughout the day to keep your gaming session going. Did I mention? I think I did, that their entire catalog is vegan and gluten-free. So even if you aren't vegan or gluten-free, hey, you know what? It's just a nice added benefit for people that are. If you guys want to get 15% off your first order of Four Sigmatic products, head to foursigmatic.com/WGG to pick out your new favorites today. That's FOURSIGMATIC.com/WGG for 15% off your first order, and get #OnShrooms today.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the news, in the pre-show today for our, what was that face?
Wow, that whiskey just hit the wrong side of my tongue. I don't know. It was very intense.
Oh,
Ooh, are you okay?
Oh, I'm
I'm
fantastic.
smelling that whiskey right now.
Yeah, right? That's some strong shit.
It's
That's been sitting up in
strong,
that
boy.
cupboard for a long time.
It hasn't been up there that long. We go through makers on the regular, okay?
No, it just woke me up. That's all. We're good. Fired up.
Okay, good. We also bought a bottle of Gentleman Jack. If you guys missed our social media post, what's good _games on Twitter.
What is Gentleman Jack?
So Gentleman Jack is essentially Jack Daniel's formula that's been aged longer, and so it's got a smoother, sweeter
fancier
finish.
Jack.
Fancier Jack.
Fancy Jack.
It's like Jack Daniels with the top hat. Dapper and fancy.
Does he
And I think
also
they
have
age it in a different
monocle?
kind of barrel. Let me double check.
Yeah, he has a monocle and like one of those petticoats.
Basically, it's more delicious
Okay,
than
yeah,
your
fair enough.
standard Jack. Yeah.
There you go.
Is it actually called Gentleman Jack?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if that was like a nickname that had been bestowed
That the
upon
cool
it.
kids used, right?
Yeah.
It says twice charcoal mellowed for smoothness.
Twice
Hey.
charcoal mellowed. I
That's
love a good
that's a
charcoal
word.
mellowing.
Mellowed. Okay. News. We were
News,
talking
video
about Blizzard.
Oh,
So as you guys know, BlizzCon happened last weekend. Right after the show published, BlizzCon kicked off their opening ceremony. So this news is
Yar.
going to feel super old. So we're not going to run down everything that happened at BlizzCon. You know, they got a new HOTS hero, they got a new Overwatch hero. Heard about some stuff happening for Warcraft Reforged and a bunch of other stuff. The big news, of course, though. Dun dun dun! Diablo Immortal.
I don't even know if it's the big news so much as the infamous news.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a good way to put it.
that's a good way to put it.
Actually, so you guys might have heard that happened. I just wanted to get to kind of address that first, since it's like the oldest news, and we'll go to the more current news. So just to kind of follow up on all that, Blizzard has also announced that they're working on mobile titles for all of their IPs. So we know that Blizzard had been teasing a Diablo announcement for quite some time. We, of course, got Diablo 3 Eternal Collection on Switch, which just came out. We know that they had planned to talk about what we thought was Diablo 4 at BlizzCon, but instead got the announcement of Diablo Immortal, which is a 100% mobile title that they have no intention to bring to PC, despite several people asking them at BlizzCon awkwardly about it. And a lot of people got very upset that there was no Diablo 4 official announcement, and that the next Diablo installment is going to be a mobile-only title. And we talked about it, well, I talked about it at length on Kind of Funny Games Daily earlier this week. I don't want to really get into any of that unless you two have some things that you would like to discuss about how all that went down.
I mean, again, just to rehash what everyone has said, I think it was just more of an expectation versus what was delivered problem. I think, and it's this weird ground we're treading where as consumers, you know, you need to be able to voice your displeasure with something because that's how companies learn that they're not happy with a certain thing. But it's just this weird area where it's what's the civil way to do this? And I don't know if we have the answer for that. Obviously, I would prefer that we lived in a world where you wouldn't embarrass people who work hard on this game. But I understand that maybe people don't know how they can voice their opinion. Maybe there aren't enough avenues where people can civilly address this problem. I mean, you can send emails to your blue in the face. Will they reach the right people? Will anyone care? As we've seen that the squeaky wheels get the grease, right?
Yeah.
And is that the same?
I think that's a bad.
It is
no,
the
it is
same,
the
yes.
saying. I think that's the bad part about what's sort of happened in the industry. I mean, on one hand, it's good in the sense that it helps the company's course correct, but it's also trained people to become so vitriolic when they are upset about something, because that's the only way people seem to pay attention. So I understand why people behaved that way, because we have all been trained. Like, that is what we have now learned as gamers, is if I want EA to listen to me, or if I want Activision to listen to me, or if I want Blizzard to listen to me, I need to be a dick. Like, all of us need to, all at once, like an ocean.
An ocean of dicks.
Yeah. I realized
That's
how that
an
was
image
coming
to
together.
ponder.
That did not. Anyways.
Never mind.
But, you know, like that. I give up now. That's how we should end this part.
Okay, this conversation's over now. Show's
Killed
done.
it. I fucking
Show
killed
is
it.
done. Sorry, I just have this image. Anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
But anyways, that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a complicated issue.
You guys are both being much nicer than I was about this. And I got a lot of really terrible responses from people reaching out to me on social media for mine. My thing is like, I'm with you, Brittany, in that there needs to be an avenue or a way for people to express their displeasure. And I'm with you, Steimer, that it's clear that the way to get results is to be an asshole. And I think that that's clear if you just think about customer service at large, right?
Yeah.
Like, if I am going to call up the cable company and be like, hey, I have this thing, I need you to help me. If I'm nice about it, they probably will just be like, I'm sorry, ma'am, there's nothing we can do. But if I'm an asshole about it and I'm like, I must speak to your supervisor and I'm really mad and blah, 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 and I get angry on the phone and I have to yell, then they give me the thing I want. And like, that's bad reinforcement, right?
Yeah. It's a bummer that that's kind of how everything works.
Right.
And
And so on one hand, you can't really blame the community for reacting the way they did. But in my mind, and what I was talking about earlier was like, I just don't think it's so unreasonable that the guy who walked up to the microphone, who clearly was upset and maybe did not know how to vocalize how upset he was about Diablo when he asked about the April Fool's question.
Is this a joke? Yeah.
Could have just easily have said, obviously we all here were hoping to hear about Diablo 4.
Do you have any news? Can we talk about that? Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, like Diablo Immortal is not really like what we were looking for. Like, when can we expect some news about this? And like, I'm not saying Blizzard was going to give him an answer.
No.
Right? They most likely were going to be like, this is what we're here to talk about today. But there was a way to ask that question without doing it the way he did. And there was a lot of people that reached out to me that said, Andrea, like, I didn't think he was being a dick. He clearly was upset and emotional. And I was like,
yeah, but just because you're upset and emotional, it doesn't give you the right to like shit all over someone else. Just because you can't emotionally process your feelings that well, like, then maybe sit down. Like, if you don't know how to vocalize what you're feeling yet, it's okay to take a moment and like think about it before you say something that could potentially, like, because I hear what you're saying. Like, I felt really bad for those developers because they did work on this game and this was not their plan. And like, you're basically just throwing these guys into the lion's den and being like, have fun.
And people reached out and were like, well, what about what Blizzard said about like, oh, don't you all have phones? I was like, yeah, they were backed into a corner where their audience was booing them and they were on a live stream on stage at their biggest event of the year. So of course, if I was feeling defensive and my audience was attacking me, they don't have the opportunity to sit down and think about it. They are holding a microphone on stage in front of potentially millions of people watching on the internet. You know, and so he probably reacted the same way a lot of us would if the work that we had been working on for years was booed on stage. You know?
Yeah, I can't even imagine like what that must feel like.
It would have taken a lot of restraint.
It would be terrible.
Horrifying. Well, I mean, but but like I can't even like emotionally process it. What, like, you just would feel that in your bones. I feel like, you know, like it would just
like
wreck
to
you
be
inside.
booed on stage for anything that you worked on. And that's the thing that I was trying to express and convey was like the lack of empathy for the human face of this. Like those developers on stage did not make the call to announce their game the way that they did. They didn't
even make the call to make the game.
No,
that's not their job.
And I wonder how much of this
their job's to make it, but not to like
of this comes down to people just simply not understanding how the industry works. You know, there might be people out there who just love Diablo and they don't understand that. I mean, I'm taking this to a very, very exaggeration level, that there is a huge company behind the executives who are making these calls, and these people are just the developers. You know, they're not like the people signing the papers and making the calls. And maybe they just think like, hey, this is a target. This is someone who works for this company. I'm going to voice my displeasure.
That's exactly what's happening. It's people not thinking. It's people not empathizing. It's people. It is the base guttural reaction of humans, right? Like, I don't like thing. Boo. Like that's what it is. And it just sucks that like those guys had to be on the receiving end of that. And again, like I do understand why people were upset. I think in general teasing is a bad idea. Don't do it. Just announce your thing.
Well, it was.
Yes, Blizzard absolutely mismanaged the expectations there. I think we all agree. And the comparison I made was EA kind of mismanaging expectations about Command and Conquer Rivals during their EA Play press conference, you know, obviously, which I was a part of. And I think, and then we also got the rumor report from Jason Schreier over at Kotaku that they were supposed to end with a Diablo 4 tease, and then supposedly it got pulled at the last minute because internally, apparently, they've been reiterating that game more than once, and so they decided that the game wasn't ready to even tease. And then Blizzard came back and said, no, that's not true. So it's hard to know because Jason's sources are usually not wrong.
And I would argue that makes the most sense to me, that they would be like, oh shit, we need to plug something in here. Let's do Immortal. But then even still, I would be like, you should just cut the segment.
Right.
Like, just don't do that to them, right? Like, because you know that the expectations are here and you're delivering. It's not like the game is going to be bad. It's just not that audience.
Right.
It's just you're at the wrong place and the wrong time for this game. And don't hurt your game like that. Like, you've just, like, this game could have potentially come out in a different way and done just fine. And, like, people would be like, oh, all right, not for me, but whatever. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I moved along their merry way.
Well, the fact
Yeah.
that they saved it for the very last, I think it just kind of adds to that hype. And in October, Blizzard did release a statement basically saying temper your expectations, but it clearly didn't reach enough people, and it wasn't enough.
But you can't you can't pull it back. Once you've built it up, you can't pull it back, because they've done things like put out videos where they're like, get ready for more Diablo news this year, and you're like, what's the Diablo news? It's probably something exciting.
Yeah.
So
They should have been taking a cue from Bethesda at E3, where clearly Todd Howard knew that he had to address what Bethesda Game Studios was working on, knowing how different Fallout 76 is as a title for them. He's like,
Yes.
listen, we're trying this cool thing that's different for us, but don't worry. We got Starfield coming down the
these other
pipeline.
more
Elder
traditional
Scrolls
games.
6 is going to be coming down soon. Or like 5 years from now.
Soon, TM.
But like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The whole
but-
thing is just unfortunate. Obviously, I'm sure Blizzard has learned a very valuable lesson with this, and I'm sure enough noise has been made where execs are like, oh, so now we have to care about this because it's all people are effing talking about.
Yeah.
And hopefully, you know, consumers, I was also bummed out at the news, but, you know, I didn't give people death threats. I didn't send death threats, and that's not the way to go about things. So hopefully both parties can just kind of learn a lesson from this.
Well, speaking of Blizzard and lessons, they decided to just go ahead and tell everyone we're working on more mobile titles. So this write-up comes from GameSpot. Blizzard executive producer Alan Adham has announced that more of the developers' IPs may get mobile game treatment. The news comes out after the announcement, of course, of Diablo Immortal, a mobile title. It's part of the Diablo franchise. Quote, in terms of Blizzard's approach to mobile gaming, many of us over the last few years have shifted from playing primarily desktop to playing many hours on mobile. And we have many of our best developers now working on new mobile titles across all of our IPs. Some of them are with external partners like Diablo Immortal. Many of them are being developed internally only, and we'll have information to share on those in the future. I will say also that we have more new products in development today at Blizzard than we've ever had in our history, and our future is very bright.
All right. No one can act surprised now.
Yeah.
When we get World of Warcraft mobile. Which I
mean,
would totally play.
Activision Blizzard bought King, you know, the literal top of the mountain for mobile games with Candy Crush, right? And it's made them billions of dollars. Why wouldn't they use some of the resources from a company that clearly knows how to make mobile titles be successful and profitable to say, hey, we have this audience, and they're not wrong. I play games on my phone, and I never used to, and I'm playing them more and more. And look at Hearthstone and how huge that game is for them on mobile. And I think that people just got their panties in a bunch about fucking nothing. It's like, you don't have to play it. And they clearly are working on Diablo 4. And they just put Diablo 3 out on Switch. Like, what are you upset about?
They're
and
upset
like,
it ended that way.
Yeah, I think it's just the expectations versus what was delivered. I mean, I'm with you.
yeah.
Trust me, I'm with you. But
and I get your argument. And there were people who wrote back to me and they're like, they have a right to be upset. They paid for their BlizzCon tickets. They paid for their BlizzCon virtual tickets. And I said,
That is
are you
very-
trying to tell me that somebody bought their BlizzCon ticket purely to see a Diablo announcement? Where is that person? I would love to meet them. Like that
Yeah,
can't possibly exist. That you
That's
bought
the only reason,
spent money for your BlizzCon pass, whether it was a virtual ticket or an in-person pass, only to go to the press conference or only go to the opening ceremonies and hear about Diablo 4. Like, get the fuck out of here with that excuse. Get out.
Because, like, even if they'd had anything about Diablo 4, I don't think it would have been anything more than, like, a cinematic.
It would have been a teaser
a
at
key
most.
art,
Cinematic
maybe something.
teaser.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's it. Like, the game's not ready yet. Leave it alone.
Yeah, it's not like it was going to be playable on the show floor.
Right.
No. Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. I can't say I'm surprised by it. I just wish everyone could be a little better, you know?
Yeah.
In general. But, I mean, companies managing their or knowing their community and knowing I can't imagine that no one at that company was like, this is a bad idea, Jim. Hey, Jim, we shouldn't do this. We should at least maybe open with this.
Jim.
Oh, I'm sure somebody told Jim that it was a bad idea, but Jim was like, nah, it's fine. We're going to go forward.
No. They'll be
But,
fine with
Yeah,
it.
I want to make something clear because you guys are our best audience, and I've been dealing with a lot of internet hate about my opinions about this particular matter. That I'm a believer that you're allowed to have your feelings and you get to own your feelings, and if you want to be mad, you can be mad. My only caveat is that you don't get to go hurt other people because you're mad.
Yes.
You get to be angry, you get to express your anger, but if your anger directly hurts other people, then that's not okay.
I wish we lived in that world.
That would,
That would be a great world to live in.
It would be. It would be a great world if
Yeah.
you could just be mad at the sky, because the sky will just sit there and take it because it's the
It's like
sky.
that gif,
'cause the
old man
sky's
shakes
like,
fist at sky or whatever.
yeah,
whatever,
Tree or
I'm
bush
just
or
here, man.
something.
Is man at cloud.
Mad at cloud. That's
Yeah,
fucked
old man yelled
that
at
up.
cloud.
Yeah,
That's like the takeaway I want, because I'm sure there's people out there listening that are like, I deserve to be mad. I get to be mad, and you're right.
Of course you are.
You absolutely get to have your feelings. I'm not trying to say that you don't get to have your feelings. The way that some of the people at Blizzard were so viciously attacked is just not okay. And if you are saying it's okay, then I have to tell you that you're absolutely dead wrong. That's all. That's my
Yes.
final word on it.
Yes.
No, it's true. There's other healthier ways to convey your frustrations. Hopefully, companies will be more susceptible to hearing them and making changes based off of those civil protests, but I guess that remains to be seen.
Yeah.
When was the last time? Anyway, we don't need to.
Speaking of frustrations,
Oh boy. Where's this
Final
going?
Fantasy 15
Oh, shit.
DLC canceled.
Rip.
Hajime Tabata quit Square Enix. So this crazy news broke earlier today, and I thought I kind of had to do like a double take.
Yeah.
I was like, wait,
was not
what?
expecting
What
that.
is it? Tabata-san quits?
Yeah.
So there's been quite a few write-ups about this news, and never more have I wished that
Where's my girl when I need
Alexa
her?
Ray hot take was here. I texted her immediately after I saw this, and she was like, she just kind of like sent me this gif of like everything's on fire.
Yeah.
Okay, let me read the write-up here from Martin Robinson over at Eurogamer. Hajime Tabata, the man who brought Square Enix's troubled Final Fantasy 15 project home, has quit the company, with a majority of DLC planned for the game now canceled. The news comes in the immediate wake of Square Enix posting a notice of an extraordinary loss of 3.7 million yen, just over 25 million GPD, with Luminous Productions, Tabata's recently formed studio, cited in the statement. Bizarrely, Square Enix made the announcement of Tabata's departure and the cancellation of DLC as part of the special live stream, a continuation of series it's used to keep in touch with fans throughout the latter part of Final Fantasy 15's development.
I never saw it coming.
Literally. Eurogamer understands that Tabata was presented with the option to have Luminous Productions turn into one of Square Enix's regular business divisions, a course it now seems set on, or spin it off as his own company with a Square Enix investment, though he chose to leave altogether. The departure was confirmed internally towards the end of this summer. Quote, in regards to my next endeavors in near future, I have a project that I truly wish to solidify as my next challenge after Final Fantasy 15, Tabata divulged on the live stream. As production of episode Arden continues and Luminous Production works on new projects, I felt that it was time for me to hand over the torch to the next generation group of talented and trustworthy colleagues and believe that they will create something amazing, end quote. So Eurogamer updated their story saying that Tabata resigned from his role as the director of Final Fantasy 15 at the same time that he left Luminous Productions and has no further relations with Square Enix or Luminous Productions. And the statement reads, we are told that he left for personal reasons. It is with regret to see the departure of such a talented member of staff who applied themselves on Final Fantasy 15 and many other memorable titles. We wish him every success in the future and will continue to cheer him on. As to the future of Luminous Productions, the studio was established with the goal to create a new IP, so we are continuing to develop our new title. This is bonkers news.
How this reads to me is there is some shit that went down, but we're going to be respectful adults about the situation, congratulate each other on our successes, and leave and put out statements that say, we wish you all the best, we wish you the best, and now I'm done with you and I'm walking away.
It's certainly more than what Konami did.
I was about to say it's better than like what happened with Kojima, where that was like, "Whoa, this is a dumpster fire."
Yeah, this is just, I mean, okay, there's a lot here. So with this live stream, we were anticipating to hear more about obviously episode Arden, episode Lunafreya, episode Arnea, and then Noctis. And Arnea and Noctis and Lunafreya have all been canceled, which are three obviously important members of this story. However, this whole development cycle of Final Fantasy 15, and when the game originally released, like this would have made 8 story DLC pieces or 7 story DLC
insane.
pieces.
I remember when they announced this and we were all like, wait, what?
Yeah, because the original game, you know, there's Trouble in Paradise, and there was a lot of characters like Luna Freya and Arnea that just were never fleshed out, and these are supposed to be pivotal members of this story, and you don't know what the hell's going on half the time. You're supposed to watch a movie before you even start the game, so you kind of understand what's happening, and you don't really understand what
Kingsglaive, right?
Too much homework for me.
Yeah, and so they released and then there's these moments with each character, Prompto, Gladdy, and Ignis, where things
Gladdy-o.
or as we like to call him, Gladdy Daddy. But I digress.
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
I digress. I know
That's
there's at least
good.
3
I
people
like
out there who
that.
are like,
Yeah, Gladdy Daddy.
And so it I think you would like Gladdy Daddy.
Yes, based on physical appearances alone.
Yeah. And so I mean that story DLC, okay, like kind of made sense. But you know, this game's been out for 2 years now. And the fact that they still felt the need to put out this DLC to flesh out this story, it's just like, who was this really going to be a success for Square Enix? Probably not. And it makes sense that it's been scrapped.
And I appreciate that they were trying to maybe capture what's been happening with games as live service movement over the last couple of years, saying, hey, we spent a decade building this world. Let's make the most of it by releasing extra DLC and keeping the core community coming back, because, I mean, who knows when A, the Final Fantasy VII Remake is ever coming out, and B, Final Fantasy 16 is ever going to happen, right? So it's like they had to do something, and I thought at first, I was like, it's a weird plan, something that we don't traditionally see, but in a world of live service games, like, I can be down with it.
Yeah.
So this comes as a complete surprise. I have to imagine that this is really hinged on Tabata's vision, or perhaps his leadership either being a good thing, that like he was such a great leader that they can't continue without him, or it being a bad thing that like there was trouble in paradise, as you mentioned, and that things behind the scenes were wildly off the rails, and Square is cutting the bleeding, right? To be like, let's cauterize the
They're
wound
like, I'm
and
sorry,
move
but
on.
Yeah.
this limb is gone.
Final Fantasy 15,
Just cut it off.
it
Yeah.
just needs, I don't want to say it needs to die, because that's not fair, because I love this game and I love the community.
It needs
That's
to go to pasture.
It just needs to go to pasture. And I mean, as long as
Just
it's
live a
nice
peaceful life
retirement.
eating grass.
yeah, there you go, eating some nice organic grass. But as long as the community continues to thrive, you know, Final Fantasy 15 will still be a thing. But
will live on
if
in
I
all
had
of
to
your
take a
hearts.
guess, I would say Tabata was probably sick of it. He probably threw his hands up in the air. Is like, all right, friends, I love you. I'm done. I have my own aspirations. I've been working on this project for half of my life now. I mean, that's an exaggeration. However, is it really?
Is it?
He
Like, it's pretty
probably
accurate.
left. I'm thinking then they're like, how the hell are we going to finish this DLC? Has it even begun production yet? I mean, Arden obviously has, since that's the only one we're getting. And then there's the loss right there. It's just all the efforts put into everything. It's just, yeah. I mean, I'm happy we're getting Arden, because I think that's the most important one. Episode Arden, he's the main antagonist of the game, and he's a very interesting character, one that also wasn't fleshed out fully well. And yeah, it's unfortunate, but you know, I think this one needs to kind of just go to
gently into
pasture,
that
have that
sweet night.
organic. There you go, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
Rip in
pour,
peace.
pour one out for the lost DLCs of Final Fantasy 15.
Comrades
I
is
guess.
getting a standalone thing if that's something you're into, and there's some Final Fantasy 14 collaborations going on. But
We obviously know Final Fantasy as a brand is strong.
it's
The
still living
state
on.
of Final Fantasy's union is strong. We obviously have the remake, the 7 remake coming out, and I'm sure. But yeah, very interesting news nonetheless. So, yeah, we
Interesante
turn to you.
indeed.
Next up, Red Dead Online beta to arrive towards the end of November. Finally, we have a little bit of insight. IGN writes, we knew it would come at some point this month, but Rockstar owner Take-Two Interactive has confirmed that the beta for Red Dead Online will arrive at the end of November. On an earnings call, Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick explained that it will launch the public beta towards the end of the month. Rockstar will have a lot more to say about it. Well, you don't have much time. Say it soon. Zelnick didn't go into any more detail
Don't
about exact
spray it.
timing, but at least we know it won't be a surprise release. Take-Two president Carl Sladoff called it an evolution of the classic multiplayer experience in the original Red Dead Redemption, blending narrative with competitive and cooperative gameplay in fun new ways. In our interview with Rockstar about Online, the developers confirmed that it would use Red Dead 2's full world and that much of its development would be fairly fluid based on what players liked and disliked about the initial release, much like GTA Online's development went.
Give it to me.
So I'm definitely interested. I had no desire, shocker, to play GTA Online when it came out. Just had no calling, no itch, no hankering, nothing. Wanted me to draw into that world because all I could think of was I'm just gonna get griefed, and like I don't want to go in there and get griefed and play. I was like, I'm done. Don't even want to do it. I actually am really intrigued and excited about Red Dead because the world that they've built, to me, is the standout feature of Red Dead Redemption 2, and just how magnificently filled out it is. We're going to talk about it a lot more in the hands-on section because Britt has finished it. Don't worry, no spoilers.
I would murder her before I let her spoil it.
And I would prevent a murder from happening.
Thank you.
Obviously, no spoilers, but we'll be talking more about that. But did you play online in Red Dead?
The first one?
Yeah.
I like barely anything. Not really, because for me, the appeal of that world is to be alone.
Right? It's like Fallout. That's why I don't get the online thing.
But then I also, especially tied to the thematics of this particular game, I think it makes sense.
Was like the gang culture or whatever?
Culture. So like we can have a little what's good gang maybe. I don't know how exactly. Obviously we don't know how it works yet. But ideally it's like, oh, like, yeah, we could all ride around on horses together and fuck shit up if we want to. But for the most part, and I'll talk about this later too, like what appeals to me is sort of the loneliness of that game.
No, and you're not wrong.
I haven't thought about it that way.
If we could make our own like what's good uniform kind of out of like cowboy hats and like coats and stuff,
there's
we
some
could ride
really
around
fancy
on our
purple
ponies.
Vests. Like I have him decked out in some pretty opulent gear that we could make into
if
a really
the
nice
wardrobe
uniform.
system in online is even like 3/4 as good, I'm not gonna say half because I expect better than half as it is in the main game. Take my money.
Take it all.
I will buy all of the clothes.
I am very, very excited for this. I agree. Like when you said you like to be alone in this game, like that makes total sense to me. I think I get that from the single player experience, but I think doing this multiplayer with this setting, like you were talking about, and this map and all the things you can do. I love Western games, and I never really knew that until Red Dead Redemption. But something about them really, really draws me in, and I think experiencing that and doing robberies and trotting along on our horses, I think that
I do think it'd be fun to like ride around with you guys and be like, oh, what's over there?
And hopefully they won't take like Oh no, the Muppets are back.
I'll stop the Muppet.
Hopefully they won't take as long to implement something like bank heists or train heists as they did in GTA.
Yeah.
Because implementing heists in GTA took an extraordinarily long time. So hopefully they have some lessons learned from GTA Online that they can apply towards Red Dead Redemption 2 and they can expedite some of that stuff. But obviously the tech in this world far surpasses what we saw in GTA 5.
Butts.
So you never know. It might be
nice
actually
butts.
more difficult to implement from, a game development perspective than GTA Online was.
And this map is huge.
Yes. Well, GTA's map was very sizable too.
I don't have a lot of experience with GTA games, so I've never even played GTA Online, so I don't even know what that bar is that Red Dead would hopefully meet. But there's just so many possibilities.
And
for this.
even though you've quote finished the game, like you haven't seen all the map. I actually watched John send because he did the follow road thing, and he just to like uncover like the fog of war off the map. And it blew my mind just how big that map really is. Because you think it's big.
What do you mean he did the follow road thing?
So like he would pick a random destination off the edge of the map.
Yes.
And then just let the horse
That's
go.
how I've been doing a lot. Well, originally I stopped doing that because I was like, I need to actually play the story mode. But
that's what I just picked a spot and I was like, this just keeps going. Holy, oh my God. So excited.
I haven't done that yet because I've been bouncing around and I've been having a lot of indecisiveness about what I want to play on a day-to-day basis because I'm juggling
It's fair.
a bunch of games,
Yeah, you've got a lot.
but I want to go back and just explore and take my time with it.
Mhm.
Maybe I might have to wait for a while.
Christmas break.
Maybe it's my Christmas break game where I just like spend the time going to find this beautiful white Arabian horse.
Oh my God, it's
We're gonna talk about it.
Yes, I'm like,
Okay.
move on because I want to keep
Yeah,
talking
we'll
about Red Dead.
we'll put a pin in Red Dead. We'll come back to it in the next segment. All right, on to our last piece of news. Unless something else big broke. Actually, there's two pieces of news. There's one piece of news that I didn't put on here, but this piece, in case you missed it, Fortnite is bananas huge.
Oh, wow.
So that's my personal headline. The actual headline
okay, I
is
was like,
Fortnite has more concurrent players than every game on Steam combined. So they announced this on Thursday. Fortnite has achieved a new concurrent player count. Comes from PC Games N of 8.3 million. Yes, you're hearing that number correctly. 8.3 million concurrent players. That means all playing at the same time.
On all platforms?
We have to imagine that's all platforms.
Okay, yeah.
For reference, that is more people playing Fortnite in a single moment than a total of Epic's own Unreal series. That's more people that have played Doom and Doom 2 combined ever, and that's more than the concurrent players in every single game on Steam combined. Now, for reference, over at Twinfinite, they announced that Fortnite passed PUBG's previous Steam concurrent total of 3.2 million back in April with 3.4 million. Obviously, they've surpassed that multiple times over. And they currently sit at the number one most concurrent players of all time, besting Crossfire, the Chinese tactical shooter that's a free-to-play game available, which currently or previously held the record with 8 million. And then right behind them, of course, Behemoth MOBA League of Legends with 7.5 million as the previous record holder before Crossfire bested them.
Crossfire.
So
You'll get caught up in the
Crossfire. Different system.
Different thing.
That is a
Different thing.
catchy ass
But,
song.
but
it was
catchy,
a really good song.
nonetheless.
Yeah. A+ marketing.
So I wrote to Nick Chester, who of course is the publicist for Epic Games, after they announced this today on Twitter, and I didn't get a confirmation, and I don't know if I will. And I was doing a little digging online to try to figure out what is the highest concurrency of a game ever, because people were saying obviously Pokemon Go must beat that. And I was like, it's an interesting question because Fortnite, obviously mobile game, console game, and PC game. So I have to imagine they're drawing the concurrent players from all three of those places.
Right.
We don't know what the split is.
That'd be interesting to find out.
I would love to know the split as to like how many people are playing in each section.
Yeah.
So I asked them that. They of course have not responded yet. I don't know if they will respond. But also I asked how it compares. Clearly, they now are the number one most concurrently played game of all time. But I don't know if that includes mobile titles or how they would register that. And so I tried to look for like what King's concurrent players were. And I didn't get a concurrent number. All I got was a daily average users. And at one point, King had almost 100 million daily average users, which is crazy to think about. But like
But it's
people
hard to
logging
think
in
for-
once a day is
Exactly.
different than a concurrent usage stat.
Yeah.
Wow.
But regardless,
Still a lot of people.
that is an impressive feat, and congratulations to Epic once again for breaking your own record and for really kind of like world domination with a game in a way that I don't think any of us expected. I vividly remember having our old couch here, and Darren Suggs was sitting here with us. Right? The creative director
I
of the
was
game.
once a bear, or whatever that robot said. I forget exactly.
I have that clip saved.
I was a bear once. I think that was the line.
And us
You are not
playing
a bear.
Save the World and talking about how I have always had like kind of a star in my eye for this game since I saw it at Judges Week back in like 2013. And I really loved it and like had no idea. And I had the absolute pleasure of running into him at TwitchCon. And I said, because I hadn't seen him since he came here and was on the live stream. And I said, who knew, man? Congratulations. You must be over the moon for your team and all the hard work.
You must be Scrooge McDucking it all the way to the
Well, he personally is not. Obviously,
I feel like they all probably are doing
I've
pretty
heard
well
from
for
Epic
themselves.
employees that they have all gotten a very nice bonus and that Epic is taking very good care of everybody on their staff, which is wonderful to hear. But like I said to him, I go, from a personal, you've been working on this game for like 8 years. Like, how does it feel? He's like, it's surreal.
Oh,
He's like, I'm just so excited that so many people have gotten to play.
I wonder what's weird, if it's weird for them though, that like the thing that they kind of originally bet their horse on, they pivoted fast enough.
Yeah.
But obviously that's not what Fortnite was.
No.
Right.
It's not at all what it was. It's not at all what they were working to build.
Right.
And then so to be like, we're building this, we think it's going to be great. And then to have that not be the thing, but like you still managed to like do an amazing thing. But that was never the plan.
Right.
So I wonder if there's any sort of like bizarre internal struggle with that. Like, I had this idea for my baby and no one likes the baby that I originally had, but they really liked what came out
I
of
wouldn't
it.
say no one. Save
Not
the World
no
is still
one.
something they're supporting, that they still have players on. And
But I would argue it's only because the multiplayer is doing so well they can afford to.
well, correct. I mean, it would be very interesting to know where Fortnite as a game would be and how much money Epic would be continuing to put into it if Battle Royale hadn't happened.
Right.
I don't think I ever want to go down that road and be like,
sad
what
rabbit
happened?
hole. Let's not go there.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I thought what they were doing was so innovative with the way that they incorporated the building mechanics into the cooperative kind of tower defense gameplay and kind of added this really different, diverse base building element to it. And I think that's what makes Fortnite unique in the Battle Royale genre.
Absolutely.
Is that they're like, hey, we're not just drive a vehicle around and shoot people with cool skins and your guns. Well, like the building still impacts the gameplay quite substantially, especially at the more competitive levels.
Oh yeah, those people are insane. I've seen some of
The building.
like some of those streamers and they build so fast and you're just like,
I mean, it's
they
a
know
cool
exactly
thing.
how, and they know exactly how to like line up a shot from really fucking far.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't know how you're doing this.
No, same. I'll watch so the fall skirmish was happening at TwitchCon, and you watch some of those competitive players and I'm just like, obviously practice makes perfect, but I don't think I
good
could practice
Lord.
enough to get that good.
No. I mean, I've been playing some Blackout as well. I mean, just in the Battle Royale mode. And I appreciate that Fortnite has the building mechanics, but that almost turns me off from it because I feel like that's just another thing I'd have to learn
an added
to do.
layer of complexity,
Which is, I mean, I'm sure it's appreciated, by people who like that because obviously PUBG and Blackout are
helps
it's like you drive around a
differentiate it.
vehicle and shoot people with your skins or whatever you just
Right.
use to. But it's
And I didn't mean that as like a dig on other battle royales. I'm just saying I
No.
think that's what
Yeah.
has contributed to Fortnite's success.
right.
I think that has obviously a large thing to do with it. I think the art style has a large thing
Yeah.
to do with it. I think the fact that it's technically like PG friendly has a ton to do with it. So like it kind
goofy.
of managed to like check all these boxes without knowing it was checking any of these
And
boxes.
most importantly, it's free to play.
It's free to play. I would also say the way that the quickness that Epic pivoted on it and started supporting it and started listening to the players on it had like obviously a giant thing to do with how successful that game became.
Absolutely.
Bravo.
It's just
Add us to your
mind-boggling.
There
payroll.
be gold in them hills. There.
Yeah.
Add us to your payroll.
It was interesting to me that they announced that they did a round of funding, that they did like I think it was a $1.7 billion round of funding, and I'm like, why? Why do you need funding from anybody? You're making. I think like the estimate I saw was they were on par to make $2 billion this year from Fortnite.
Cuckoo bananas, man. So, okay.
I don't know.
Do you think this game, obviously at some point, it's just going to slowly decline in popularity, but how long do you think it has this momentum?
I mean, I think that something like this is going to be similar to like a WoW, and that like yes, the player base will decline,
But it's still going to be a
it's
huge
still
number.
going to be a big number.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bubble on Battle Royale is going to burst quick. I don't think it's going to have the legs that Minecraft has enjoyed for several years. I think that they are going to enjoy a long wave of success for at least the next 2 years, potentially 3 years. But I think like 5 years from today, like this fever over Battle Royale will be gone. That there will still be a core fan base, absolutely, people playing, but it won't be like this 8.3 million concurrent number is just not going to be there anymore.
Yeah, I
there'll
think
be some other kind of new hotness happening.
Absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised if it becomes the next capture the flag multiplayer mode, right? Where it's just a mode that
It's
you're
just
going to
part
expect
of everything. Yeah,
as
it
part of the
just
multiplayer
becomes- yeah.
package.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Cool
But
shit.
We just fold it into that pastry.
Ooh.
just keep folding.
Just keep
Is
folding.
it a flaky
I
pastry?
immediately
Yeah, flaky
thought
pastry
of
is
the
folded.
moment in Sleeping Beauty, of Disney's Sleeping Beauty, where the fairy godmothers are folding full eggs into the batter, trying to make a cake for Aurora.
Yeah. And they don't know.
Because they're trying not to use magic. And she's literally, she's reading the recipe. It's like, fold 3 eggs. And she literally puts the eggs in whole and then smushes them down. And you can like hear the crunch of the shells. I don't know why I thought of that. It's my favorite Disney movie
it's
of
a
all
really
time.
good movie.
I
But
don't know if I've ever seen that one.
oh, I will show it to you.
Talk about Lion King all day, baby girl, but not
Oh,
that.
it's so good. It's my favorite Disney
I'll
movie.
watch it for you. We can fold eggs.
know you.
But like, I sat with you once.
I slept with you
upon a
once?
dream.
It's I walked with you.
Walked
but-
with you. I couldn't remember the words.
I slept with
I
you.
also slept with you once in a dream.
Excuse me.
But
That's
it
a
was me-
story for
but it
another
was me-
time,
it was me
children.
sleeping.
Close the golden
Deets.
book. Okay. I was gonna do all of the Mass Effect news when we talk about N7 in the third segment, but essentially, the big news is BioWare pretty much confirmed that they're working on more Mass Effect, which is fantastic news for fans like us
Well,
who
Casey's
love BioWare.
back. That was his
Yeah.
baby. That kind of makes sense to me that he'd be like, I know we kind of fucked it up, but like, can we put this
He's
back
like,
on the
but I'm
rails?
back now.
I'm back now. Can we put this back on the rails?
Let me fix it.
We
I'll
will
find
give
the
you all of the
Korean arc. I
chances.
promise.
The Korean arc exists.
So obviously we as giant BioWare fans and a lot of you out there as well wrote in when I asked for you to send me your Mass Effect stories, which we'll get to later on the show. Want more. Felt like there was a void after Andromeda release and there was no story DLC. There was a little bit of multiplayer stuff that happened.
What?
Oh, I
What?
thought that was a spider coming down. It's just a weird dandelion
Fucking
fuzz.
shit.
Oh, a piece of fuzz.
Like, no, it's legit. Like, you know,
I see it.
Not dandelion, or is it the thing you blow on and then? Like,
Yeah, dandelion, yeah.
Like, why is this here, and where did it come from?
I don't know. Maybe it came off the rug.
I don't know, but that scared the shit out of me.
That's
I
okay.
legitimately thought there was a spider that just like booped
And I
down.
just
Maybe Kratos was feeling lonely and just wanted to come hang out.
Kratos, the daddy
Woo.
long legs, our first pet of What's Good Games.
Okay, anyways, I'm
Yes.
sorry to interrupt
the,
you, but that
the
scared
Office
me.
Daddy Longlegs.
Yeah.
So they on N7 Day they released a video that says this year we take a look back and a glimpse at the future of Mass Effect, and it ends with Casey doing the Kermit the Frog sip with a cup.
Wait,
Yep.
I need to watch. How
Oh,
we
yeah.
not watch this?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
Here,
yeah,
I have it right here
Oh,
for you.
she's-
I fail at being a Mass Effect fan.
Nah, I mean, N7 days. Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
Oh. Zip, 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 zip.
It's something we all share.
Please hold, ladies and gentlemen.
It's the common bonds we've formed.
Narrate what's happening.
The relationships we've
Oh,
forged.
sex is
Banging.
happening.
More dancing.
Oh,
with
dancing.
Garrus.
And the choices we've made.
Geth. Oh no! R.I.P.
Rip in peace.
You're not narrating what's happening.
I know. I don't want to narrate. I'm trying to
People
listen.
walking down the street and smiling at each other because they're wearing N7 gear, and they're like, "Oh my god, we totally get each other."
Oh my god, we should date. Why aren't we dating?
Cell phone is going off. Teeth are being brushed. Coffee
really
is
badly.
being
Don't
poured.
brush your teeth like
Hats
that.
are being put on heads. There's a sun in the sky. There's
There's
an
an
Omni
Omni
tool.
Omni
There's
blade.
a Morden in a bed.
Oh, little Morty plush.
It's very cute.
Oh my god, this fucking dandelion needs to go away.
We've
Oh
explored.
my god, it loves
And
you.
7 shoes.
It's like Bartholomew the Gnat, Simer.
Yes, it is. The
Countless worlds left to discover.
Normandy.
Space.
And it's what the future holds.
Okay.
And this is really
More
long.
space.
This is way longer than I thought it would be.
Okay.
N7 means having a community.
N7 is a celebration of something bigger.
N7 means fighting to protect the people you love.
N7 is about diversity.
N7 means adventure.
N7 is seeing someone on those red and white stripes and knowing what they've been through.
N7 is a chance to
That's a good
explore
answer.
what it's like to be someone else.
N7 is finding new stories and making my own.
To me, Mass Effect means
Oh,
that
hey,
there's always
Mike.
something new to play, to interact with.
Why aren't
to
you wearing an
explore
N7
the
shirt?
universe.
Right?
That's actually one of the
Fail.
reasons why we're doing Xbox
You failed, Mike.
Patch
Mike, what are you doing?
Michael.
with
Michael
better
Gamble.
resolution,
Mike
HDR
Gamble.
lighting, and that should be available today.
It means coming into the studio
hi, Casey.
every day, dreaming about what the next great
You
Mass
also aren't
Effect
wearing
game
anything N7 branded.
Kermit the Frog.
Aww.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. I think it was last year I got to be part of their N7 Day video. That was fun.
N7 means they did a knockout job with that branding.
That's fucking true.
100% true. So there was a lot of people like doing screen grabs of like the cup. So the cup says "I should go."
Oh, does it? Okay.
Which is like a Mass Effect meme.
Yeah.
It's actually
It's too hard for me to read that. From
Yeah, and so people were like, "Does it say Apollo? Does it say this?" It's like, no, like that's a well-known Mass Effect meme. I should go, and it just says BioWare on the bottom of it.
Wait, did they sell that?
They used to. I don't know if they do anymore.
Oh yeah, they went through
At
a weird thing
BioWare
with their
store.
store. I don't know
Yeah.
what's happening with it.
But I'm sure
that
somebody online sells the "I should go"
shit.
cup.
I should go.
And
I should go see if they sell that cup somewhere.
And they left obviously a lot of doors open with the end of Andromeda about like what could potentially happen. And they did so much work setting up this new cast of characters in Andromeda. Obviously you guys have a very intimate relationship with Jal.
Just don't take your shirt off, sir.
Yeah, I would say it's a limited physical interaction.
Hey, listen.
There are limits to what we want to do there.
Was it during the pre-show we were talking about what a sex shop in Mass Effect would
Yeah,
look
we'll
like?
talk about that more later.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. A good conversation.
I'm having a brain fart
Okay.
on the Prothean's name.
The Prothean?
Yeah, in Mass Effect Andromeda. What's his name?
Don't ask me,
The
man.
Prothean?
Oh my gosh, I'm like having the big. Somebody's yelling it in their car while they're
Don't
listening
yell
to it right
at
now.
me.
I'm just confused.
We love you. Be patient
Where's
with us.
the wiki?
Here's the thing I will say I appreciate about us ladies is that when we don't know something, we don't pretend to. We'll be sick. We
Are you
don't know.
thinking of Mass
We're
Effect
brain
3
farting.
with the DLC guy?
No, I'm thinking about Mass Effect Andromeda.
Okay, we have Scott and Sarah Ryder, Alec Ryder, Liam, Cora, Pelokharya.
Wait. What?
What?
This is too
You're
many
talking about
characters.
That's PB.
I know. I
Are
was
you
trying
talking about a crew member?
Yeah. The Prothean. You wake him up and he joins your crew, and I took him everywhere because he gave such cool, interesting tidbit dialogue every time you brought him on a mission. Because you pick the crewmates that come on your mission.
I'm well aware of how Mass Effect works.
I do not remember this guy.
I remember him from Mass Effect 3, not Mass Effect Andromeda.
Oh my gosh. Maybe.
Look it up for Mass Effect 3. Fucking look it up.
Yeah.
Oh my god, am I confusing Andromeda and Mass Effect 3?
Yes. That's why I am so confused, because I'm like, there wasn't a Prothean in Mass Effect Andromeda.
Oh no, you're right. How did I do that?
Javik.
I don't know.
Javik. Yes, that's it. Mass Effect 3.
Yes.
I'm the worst timer. Take away my gamer card.
Oh my god,
Holy
you fake
shit.
gamer
No,
girl.
it's not
Oh
even
my
that.
god.
I'm like, I'm telling you what it is, and you're like, no, and I'm like, are you sure?
Why don't
I
you
feel
go
like-
back to
Why
playing
did I fuck that up? Maybe it's been so
Tetris?
long. Even though I did put my Mass Effect 3 Xbox 360 disc into my Xbox One to load it up for backwards compatibility, so I have it installed and ready to play because somebody mentioned the Citadel DLC, and I was like, I must play.
Yeah, I should probably actually go through
Andrea, you're
mine.
just a fake gamer girl. Go
Fake
back to
gamer
playing
girl.
like your Candy Crush.
I pulled all that stuff for the third segment for the responses. But the news, of course, is just that N7 Day happened, and they essentially confirmed that they're working on more Mass Effect, which is great news for all of us BioWare fans. And we'll talk more about how much we love Jal, or how much they love Jal and Mass Effect and our N7 memories and what N7 means to us in the third segment, and read some of your responses that you guys sent in. But for now, I think we're probably going to call it good. There was some other news that happened. Nintendo changed some stuff in Smash. Whoa. Hold on. Let me turn this off. Sorry. Nintendo changed some stuff in Smash based
they
off of
just
some...
killed all of their characters or something.
Well, no, they had some offensive Native American imagery connected with
no.
one
I was
of
talking
the
about the other
characters from a previous version of Smash. Like a
Mr.
couple
Game
of
& Watch.
Yeah, a couple of decades ago when that character was like originally created, and they were like, "Hey, this was an oversight by our Treehouse staff. This character was created many decades ago when we as a company felt differently and were not aware of, how this was impacting players and people in our community. And we've since changed it and are going to be fixing it."
Oh.
I think they modified it in their Game Boy Advance release, and I think it was just a slip.
It was.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that people are like, how did this get by Treehouse? Knowing how vigilant they are. I think it was just like, it didn't get updated in all the different places the key art exists. And so they were like, our bad, we're fixing it. So that's good. They got on top of it right away.
All 5 Smash DLC characters have been finalized. We don't know who they were.
Basically, Sakurai-san is like, stop harassing me.
Nintendo picked these. You don't get a say.
There's
the
no
fuck
more
up.
requests. The door is not open for you to request
door is
characters.
closed. Please
Stop
stop.
reaching out to me on social media about what
sorry.
characters you want to see in Smash.
I'm also one of
That's
those
like the message
obnoxious-
essentially that Sakurai was saying.
Yeah, that's
So
fair.
I'm also
Stop-
one of those
I was talking about
Stop harassing that guy.
Maybe it was a while ago, and I'm just melding time together. But I thought you guys were gonna talk about the was it a cinematic or something? I don't know, like where they kill everybody except Kirby.
We talked about it last week
Ah,
in our
okay.
big Smash
okay,
show.
Okay.
We're going to ask Crack of Dawn to talk about that.
Got it.
Yeah, we watched the Smash live stream at 7 freaking a.m.
ass crack of dawn.
Yes, it is.
I
Oh,
wake
it
up at
was.
5:30. Not every day.
You're a
but
monster.
A few days
I
a
don't go to
week.
bed till like 1 or 2, though. That's my fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Fucking
It is
Red
your
Dead
fault.
Redemption
It is
2.
your fault. And there were some other stuff, but that was the gist of it. That was the big stuff. All right, we're gonna take our first break of the show. When we come back, we're gonna talk about what we've been playing. Stick with us, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back, everybody. It's segment 2 of the What's Good Games podcast. Hopefully, you're not joining us in the middle of the show, even though that's what our timestamps are for.
Yeah.
BT dubs. Do you ever find yourself wondering, hey, the intro of the show is too long, or hey, I don't want to listen to this thing.
The shade is so real.
I'm not intentionally throwing shade at people who leave comments on the
feel
show.
like you need to
just a little bit.
Do
just
a
little
tea
bit.
sip right now with your rosé.
I will do a tea sip with this whiskey.
There you go.
As the
That's
person who
none of my
responds
business.
to the comments, you guys talk too much. Sorry, I'm not mocking you.
But
That's
you
okay. I
are.
was.
Can I have a cheers? Thank you.
We love you guys and we love talking to you guys about the show. But sometimes we have to take the little moments when we do because we deal with a lot of bullshit on the internet. You might have seen me tweet earlier this week that I was having a little bit of a hard time because of everything, all of the fallout that was happening from my conversation with Tim on Kind of Funny Games Daily about the Blizzard situation. And then my appearance, friend of the show, Jared Petty, and somebody who's appeared here on What's Good Games invited me to come on Red Dead Radio, and we're trying to set up a time when all three of us can be on Red Dead Radio with Jared. And I went on the show knowing that I had some critical things to say and that I also had a lot of really positive things to say about the game because it's a really amazing game. And I was not anticipating quite the wave of ass-hattery that came back my way. And I've been doing this internet media business for quite a long time. And I like to believe that I have a pretty thick skin, and I've never subscribed to the philosophy of just don't read the comments. I think it's integral to what we do and to what I do, and I like having dialogue with you guys. I like talking to you guys in the comments. But sometimes people are really terrible in the comments. It's true. And thankfully, we have a lot of fantastic mods in our What's Good Game community. And we have Brittany, who is always ever present with the band hammer.
Brittany is our shield.
I don't tolerate bullshit.
And we curate our community pretty aggressively for a lot of reasons. As an all-female cast, we get a lot of extra bullshit thrown our way besides
gendered bullshit.
Right, besides the usual internet bullshit. So, yeah. There was a point to what I was saying.
Well, because we were talking about sometimes in the comments, people will say, you guys talk too much in the beginning of the show.
Oh yeah, we were making fun of people in the
And
comments.
again, I'm sorry. I shouldn't make fun of you for, you don't probably talk like that. But it's just one of those things where it's like,
It's a coping mechanism. So because of everything that gets thrown our way,
Thank
it
you,
is
Steimer.
easier to make light of it in that manner than it is.
That's exactly
to
it.
deal
Thank
with
you.
it
That's
all the time.
100% it. That's why we have timestamps. Yeah, long story short. Also, our community is amazing and awesome, and we all feel very fortunate that, I mean, I hop in the comment section every day for a few minutes, and rarely do I need to ban some ass hattery. It's just our community is phenomenal, and we thank you
hattery.
so
it
much
really
for that.
is, and we love you guys, and thank you so much to everybody who posted in the Kind of Funny subreddit. I did see the thread, and it means a lot. And to people who wrote emails, we saw them, we read them. We try to do our best to respond to every email that we get. And of course, you know, there are some that slip through, but if you've written us, like, thank you. It's been seen. And that's all I wanted to say.
That's a good thing to say.
Great. Let's talk about what we've been playing.
Well, have we been playing? So obviously we alluded to Red Dead Redemption 2. But before we get there, let's talk about Moonlighter, Brittany.
Moonlighter.
What are you moonlighting as?
I have my tab
So this
open.
was released on Monday. And I know because so few games are released on a Monday.
Yeah, this came on Nintendo Switch on Monday, November 5th. It's
Monday
been out.
Moonlighters?
Exactly.
Oh my God. Was that
Damn, baby
cracking
girl.
something?
It was my knuckles.
God, this girl can crack her knuckles.
loud.
I didn't know it was going to be
I'm like
that loud.
fireworks going off in this bitch. It's been out since May for all the other platforms, so Xbox and PlayStation. So have you ladies ever played a game? And within the first like 20
We have played games.
No, I'm not
Yes.
done. You smart asses. Well, then the first like 20 minutes, you're like, I'm gonna become so addicted to this game, my life is over.
Probably it's close to, like, Stardew.
Yeah. Okay, so that you.
The first 20 minutes.
It's like once you kind of
You, like,
understand.
you get that gameplay loop.
Yes.
You get through a gameplay loop and you go, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, this is my jam.
I think for me that was The Hobbit Kingdoms of Middle-earth, which was a mobile game that no longer exists.
What's up with you loving all these games that just kind of go out to pasture?
Well, what's sad about that is that's now wait,
I don't know.
but it's now a game. I think it's called like
Just
elves
such a random
and
fucking game.
elves and goblins or something, because clearly they lost the Hobbit license, or the game that Kabam used to make it, and so it's changed now. And it's like it's not
Not the same.
Yeah.
But I fell hard for that game. It was an RTS mobile game that I was like all about, because I was like in 3 different alliances, and it was great.
Well, you got your life
That's
back.
not what I was expecting, but yes.
We had our own line group. We
Actually, I
chatted.
think we have talked about this before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I lost hundreds of dollars and hours and hours.
I know that feeling.
Giving years of my life to that game.
I know that feeling. So Moonlighter is my latest game like that. So the gameplay loop, from what I understand, because I'm only 2.5 hours into this thing, but I'm like, oh my God. I've learned that I love games that let me go at my own pace and don't rush me to do anything. Like Harvest
And no
Moon-
trees.
No trees. And there are some trees in this, but they're not intrusive trees.
I'm just gonna call bullshit again on your tree theory.
No,
keep
the
going.
trees
Keep
are
going.
bullshit. But
Moonlighter.
yes, keep going.
So games like Stardew Valley, Harvest Moon, Story of Seasons, even like Red Dead Redemption to some extent, where I can just kind of trot around the world and not feel rushed to do anything. So with Moonlighter, the gameplay loop is that you have a shop and you have to go to a dungeon, and all these dungeons are randomly generated. And every time you go in, they're different. Obviously, that's what that means. And you go and you defeat enemies. Thanks for nodding, Summer. And you get artifacts or items. And then you go to your shop and you
And
sell
you
them.
stock them. That's your stock. Your inventory is what you loot off these monsters.
Yes.
Okay.
And so you get these items, you go to your store, and then you sell them. Now, each item has a specific price that customers will buy it at, and their supply and demand is a factor, but I haven't gotten too much into that. So if I kill a monster and I get a vine, I go to my shop and I place it on display and I set that price. And then the customers come in, you open your shop, and they look at it, and if they have like a sad face, I almost said emoji, sad face, happy face, like super duper excited face, and based off that you judge how you have this thing priced. If it's a happy,
This is a fucking economics game.
I love it so much.
This surprises me that you are this.
Well, it's
into
kind of
it.
like Little Dragon's Cafe. As janky as that game was, I really liked the gameplay loop of it, and it's sort of the same thing. Anyway, and so you sell these items, and then you get money for that, and then you use that money to upgrade the town and upgrade your shop. And so when you
don't upgrade your equipment that you go into the dungeons with.
no. So you upgrade the town to get a blacksmith, and then the blacksmith is opened up, and then he requires certain items to build better swords, get a bow, better armor, blah blah blah. And then you go back in the dungeon and you collect your items, and you can leave the dungeon, I believe, only by going like using your pendant, which costs $300. And so you have to make sure you get at least $300 worth of goods, which is really easy to do in your dungeon run. And then you go back so you can come back and then sell your goods and then keep coming in and out. That's what she said.
see, yeah.
Yeah, it's thank you for holding the pillow. But I'm really, really enjoying it. So what I would say is if you like the mining or whatnot in Stardew Valley, you know, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Not really
not
the same thing,
it's
but
not
kind
the-
of.
It is not the mines. It is the place in the oasis.
Yes, that's what I mean. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
It's
end game dungeon.
the gameplay when you're in the dungeon kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah.
And then that's where you collect all the goods and you sell them and then you can upgrade stuff.
So do you think you're moonlighting as a shopkeeper or you're moonlighting as an adventurer?
I don't even know what moonlighting means.
So moonlighting is when you have an alternate occupation to your day job, essentially.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Yes.
Okay.
So I assume it's like you're moonlighting as a dungeon crawler.
Yeah,
Right.
But your day
100%.
job
And
is
generally,
a shopkeeper.
yes, moonlighting is associated with like a secret alternate occupation. So, like by day, Steimer works in video game developer, but by night, she moonlights. That's the word. The verb.
Yep.
Moonlights as a cocktail waitress in a speakeasy bar.
Oh yeah, she does.
I mean, she doesn't really, but like,
That would be fun, maybe.
yeah.
I actually don't like talking to people, so maybe not. But
Yeah.
So,
but
but
like, you
yeah.
could,
yes,
you
I
could
could.
play it as like a I don't ever want to talk to you, and that's why people love you because they're like this girl. So there's this like super hot chick that works at this bar, and her shtick is that she never talks to you. She only gives you the eye.
Oh, she's
I
good
feel
at the
like
eye
that's
too.
every bar that most people go to.
I love it.
But yeah, so that's what moonlighting
Okay,
means.
yeah. So my understanding is you can do dungeon crawling during the day or the night, so you can kind of pick and choose your occupations. But yeah, it's on Switch, and that's the platform I'm playing it on, and it's fucking perfect. It's like the perfect Switch game. Ugh. So it's really fun. I'm really enjoying it. The gameplay loop has me addicted, and I like that you can just kind of take your time, do what you want, how you want. You're not being rushed to do anything, and it's my jam. It's my jelly.
Well, good. I actually think this sounds really cool. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
You should.
I do though have Diablo 3 Eternal Collection downloaded onto my
man.
Switch. Did I play it this week? Nope. I also have Hitman 2 downloaded
Ooh.
onto my PS4.
The game's getting good
I
reviews.
want to play it.
Did I play it this week? No, I have a copy for you. And I didn't play either of those games because I obviously was having a little bit of a mental health crisis at the beginning of this week, and I took 2 days away from being online and being on my console and did some things around my house that were non-video game related.
You did
just
real
kinda
world things.
Right. I did some
Therapeutic
adulting
things.
where I just need to like kind of clear my head of work related stuff. And so instead, when N7 Day came around and I was like, I think I've taken enough of a like cleanse. I need to
I gotta rub your laptop because you're rubbing it. I wonder if it
sorry.
feels good.
It's it's very
Oh,
smooth.
that does feel very good. Oh God.
Sorry, I was groping my laptop cover.
No, it feels great. I understand why you're doing it now.
I also am a natural fidgeter. If you guys ever watch the video at youtube.com/westcoastgames, you probably noticed me fidgeting the entire show. N7 Day came around and they made the announcement that they released this new patch to make the game Mass Effect Andromeda enhanced for Xbox One X. And so I thought to myself, I go, you know what? I haven't booted up Mass Effect in a long time. I did put my Mass Effect 3 disc in to install it for backwards compatibility because I wanted to go back and visit that game. But I was like, you know what? Why don't I check this out and see what this patch is all about? And I will say I was pleasantly surprised with how good the game looks. Now, mind you, some of the animation issues that existed in the game at launch still exist now. They obviously have patched out a lot of the really horrific stuff. And it's not as noticeable, but in the wake of games like Red Dead Redemption 2, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, God of War, you know, it's not as easy to look at, you know, facial animation and go, this is acceptable. But I also remind myself that a video game doesn't graphically need to be photorealistic in order for me to enjoy it. And there's so much more that I love about it. And I got so engrossed in playing this game that I played for 6 straight hours last night. I just like booted up.
Wow.
I spent more than a healthy amount of time recreating my Red Rider, which is what I named her. And I started up the game and I'm playing now.
Sounds like a villain.
Red Rider.
The Red Rider.
I mean, I could play her as a villain, but I don't.
Is her last name Hood?
The Red Rider.
No, but it
Hood?
should.
Oh, come on.
No, but it
I'm
should
so
be.
good at these jokes.
You're working your way up to a good dad joke. Someday your joke might make it onto one of my postcards. Yeah.
That's when I've peaked.
Yes.
I will quit What's Good Games and walk away into the sunset.
She'll become a joke writer.
There's something there. But I've been really enjoying going back, and it's hard because I would love nothing more than to lose myself in Mass Effect Andromeda and play through all of that again and experience it with a fresh set of eyes and kind of relive it, because so many people reached out to me after I was tweeting about in 7 Day about how Andromeda was their favorite in the Mass Effect series, which was unexpected for me.
Yeah.
Because 2 is clearly the best Mass Effect game. We'll talk about that more in the third segment. But I think that when we played it at launch, it clearly wasn't ready. And now they've made some significant improvements in the game, and it's been a while since it was originally released. And I would say to anybody, I said this on Twitter, I said, if you missed it or you didn't play it because, quote, someone told you it was bad, you're missing out on a really fantastic Mass Effect game. And obviously it's up for debate which Mass Effect is your favorite, but overall this was not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. There's a lot of really great stuff in it, and I've been enjoying it, but I'm now juggling Mass Effect Andromeda, Red Dead Redemption 2, Spider-Man, Assassin's Creed Odyssey,
Destiny 2.
Destiny I've kind of put on the back burner.
That's fair.
Because like I love Destiny and I love our What's Good Guardians, and every once in a while I see it on the cross media bar on my PlayStation, and I'm like, I could just jump in for a couple dailies really quick and like jump in and out. But I know that once I jump in, I'm probably going to stay in. But they're going to have a December event, and they're supposed to have, the season pass content. So I might just wait until the next big content drop happens to get back in, because there's just so much I need to play that I haven't played.
Yeah. I feel like I have my life back. I mean, we'll talk about this later. Now that I finished Red Dead Redemption 2, I'm like, oh, I've come up for air. There's a whole beautiful wide world around me that I forgot about completely.
Well, I mean, in January is on the horizon. It's getting so close.
Everyone leave me alone. All I want to do is sit in my house and play Red Dead and not talk to anybody.
So yes, let's transition into Red Dead Redemption 2, and I'll talk more about Mass Effect Andromeda in the if I feel like it in the third segment when we have our N7 discussion. So Red Dead has obviously been dominating a lot of your lives and clearly all of our lives, and for good reason, right? Like, this is a game like this comes along, I think, like once in a generation for video game consoles, and there's a lot to be said for it. I don't regret the things that I expressed on this show about that game when it first came out in our review in progress discussion. A lot of those concerns I had still exist. But I will say a lot more of the highlights and what makes this game so special have shown themselves and presented themselves over the course of the 50 odd hours or whatever I'm at for gameplay. I think I'm at like a 65% progression right now in that game. And Brittany, you obviously finished it.
I did.
So what percentage completion were you at when you finished?
87.3 or something.
That's pretty impressive.
That's pretty good.
Is that story? That's not story progression.
That's total.
Complete.
By the time I finished the game, when credits rolled, it was 100% story completion. But overall, it's like 87.3 or something like that.
That's wild. That's a lot of bounties you did.
I did a lot, and there's still so much more I want to do.
Like hunting challenges and stuff?
Hunting challenges, and going to the legendaries, doing the fishing.
How do the rankings on the missions affect that? Because I feel like I got bronze or silver on almost all of the mission rankings.
So did I. So I don't think it impacts that.
Well, because you don't know what the caveats are for how you get the gold ratings or whatever, right? Until after you do
the mission, and then it shows you
I
all
didn't
the
even
requirements.
realize they were rating me.
Yeah, so
I know what you're talking about now, but I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, because, like, what the fuck? You don't know the requirements. How would you know?
It
would be completely spoilery if they gave you the requirements ahead of time.
And
yeah.
most
So, no,
of the
I
time,
think you just have to do it.
It's like a replayability thing to go back and do it again.
And do it.
Yeah. So after you complete a mission, obviously you can hold the button and it'll show you. Most of the time, it's like, get this amount of headshots, complete this mission within a certain time frame. But there are some where
Too busy looting all of the bodies. This is going to take me 12 years.
I'm going to be
literally
here all night.
I've failed all of the time missions. Every single one.
I don't
failed.
even try. I don't really care.
I also,
but no, it doesn't impact anything. But no, it's again, this means completely spoiler free. But I feel like in the beginning or the first like half, even maybe the first like 2/3 of the game, I felt like, okay, like I'm taking my leisurely pace. This is great. I like starting, booting it up and just hunting all day or just exploring all day because there are so many interesting things to find in that huge, expansive game world. Things that you're like, what the fuck is this? What is this doing in here? But it's so fun.
I want to talk about one of those that I ran into because it was just so, I just laughed. I was so happy. So I'm just running around like you do on your beautiful horse. With its beautiful butt, its beautiful animated butt.
It's a great butt.
And
the muscles in that butt are so good.
Yes, they really are.
I aspire to have a horse butt.
The horse muscle animation is so fucking good.
Yeah.
And I mean, anyways, so I'm running around on my horse, kind of just doing what you were talking about, having a nice quiet time. And I come across this kid. And when I say kid, I mean, I think he's probably like 19-ish, 20.
That's a kid.
And he is throwing rocks into the river.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just like, I forget the name. Do you remember the name? It's some girl's name. He's basically bemoaning the fact that this girl, I assume, has turned him down, rejected him in some way.
Mary Sue.
He's just like, Mary Sue, why, Mary Sue? Why would you do this to me? And he's just like throwing rocks. And I walked, didn't walk. On my horse, I like kind of trot up to him and pause. And he's like, go away, mister. I just want to be alone right now. And Arthur's like... I understand, son. And then and I was like, well, I guess I feel like I need to leave now because I just told him I would leave.
Yeah.
So I just went across the riverbank and stood there and waited and watched him. I creeped on him for a while. And then he eventually just stops throwing rocks and sits down on the ground and cries. No, I didn't need binoculars.
You can have a conversation.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I just took him as he didn't want to talk. So I was like, okay, bye.
No, and that's what's so cool about this game is you see these random ass characters and you have these conversations and they just feel so organic because the world just feels like it's so alive. And then you'll see them, at certain points throughout and you're like, I remember you. Oh, we had this conversation. And then you see what happened, and that's really cool.
Yeah. I unfortunately didn't coach him through life, so I don't know if he'll be okay. But I just mostly looked at him and was like, I can't believe there's a dude just crying on the riverbank over there.
And there's so many instances of that stuff happening.
And that's, part of the magic of this game.
Yeah.
And the way that they develop this open world is that your playthrough, Brittany's playthrough, and my playthrough are all going to be completely different.
Yes. And the stuff we see
Yeah.
is going to be completely different.
Well, that's part of why, I also agree, that there are quality of life gripes that I have that we kind of discussed the first time we did. But there is probably, that is probably one of the reasons why they don't have a follow road button. Because if they had a follow road button, you would never see that, right? You would probably ride by most of the things and not
just
really
use
pay
the
much
cinematic.
attention.
Do you use the cinematic?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
Although I did see that really funny video of a guy who's enter cinematic mode, they said, and then he hits a log and dies.
Yeah.
He flies off his horse into the ground.
Yeah, I also posted a gameplay clip on my Twitter account.
Oh my God, I saw that.
Of me being in town. So I tried.
I saw it. It's
yeah.
funny.
So it was my horse was glitching out in a really hilarious way. What happened was I thought that I had hitched my horse, but instead my horse got caught in a trot, against the wall. And I was looking at it being like, this is hilarious. It's just trotting against the wall.
He's on a treadmill.
Right, exactly. But he's up at an angle. And so I was looking at it, and then I tried whistling to see if maybe that'll break him out of this loop that he's in.
Sure.
Didn't work. So I was like, okay, well, let me try to go get on it and ride around. I got on, still stuck. And then I was like, well, maybe if I try to gallop. So then I try to go fast. And I was like, I'm definitely going to hit somebody and there's going to be a crime. This is going to be, I knew it was happening. And then as soon as I came out of the gallop, I hit this woman. My horse banged into the other wall. It's going sideways.
It was drunk.
There's drifting. Apparently there's a drifting glitch in the horses.
If you have your horse spawn that high.
Yeah.
But I was moving horizontally on the horse, and it was bad. And then of course there's a witness, and I was just like, oh man, oh hell,
murderous horse.
And I just when it happened, I don't know if I'd just been either having too much wine or if I'd been playing for too long. I lost my shit, doubled over. That type of laugh where you can't breathe because you're laughing so hard.
Yeah.
I don't know what was so funny about this glitch with this horse in the game. You can find it on my Twitter account, or if you follow me on PSN. But I died. Some of the glitches in the game are just hysterical.
They're pretty good. I saw the one that you had posted where the wagon just crumbles.
That was the only thing I saw that the entire game.
Funny.
And that was within my first 5 hours of the game. So I was just trotting along, and there's this dude with a carriage, and there's this one horse in front of it, and I look.
It's at a tilt.
It's at a tilt. Yeah, the horse is on the ground.
The horses are on the ground. The wagon is tilted
up in the air.
slightly at like at a
yeah, that's
a 45
what it is.
degree angle.
And he's just like, yeah, and he's like hitting the reins and like trying to get the horse to go and all that. And then the horse like glitches like 10 feet up in the air, and the whole carriage does, and both fall and both die. And then my horse takes a shit.
Well, I thought the
Yeah, the horses shit a lot in this game.
Yeah.
dude, they
It's like
they
this thing-
have an issue. I think they might need some medication. But, like I thought the wagon just collapsed on itself.
No, well, I think what happened is everything just
Anyways,
raised up in the air
It
and
was
fell down.
funny. It was
So-
really funny.
yeah, and all this stuff is really cool, and like obviously the glitches are like funny, whatever, it's not a big deal, but like this exploration and finding these characters I think is what makes this game super impressive. And what I would say, a piece of advice, is if you are playing this game and are at a point where you're like, I'm really enjoying exploring right now, this is what I'm doing, this is what makes me happy, just keep doing it as long as you want to.
Yeah,
because
the
they're
game doesn't
obviously
punish you for it.
yeah. And you know what I was getting at way ago, long time ago, was the first like 2/3 of the game I was like, this is awesome, like leisurely pace, like I can do what I want, I can enjoy this. But then obviously there comes a point where it's like, oh, I want to fucking find out what happens, you know, and I just feel like I need to keep
Yeah,
running,
the
keep
story
running.
picks up. Yeah.
Yeah, keep running, keep going. And then at one point, it just doesn't, I don't feel like I wanted to do the exploration anymore. And I kind of regret that. But that's why I got to 87%, was because for a long time, I just killed things and I explored and find things, did all the side missions. And yeah.
Yeah, somebody tweeted at me a picture of this beautiful white horse.
Oh,
and
yes.
I was like, what? Where did you get this
Where
horse?
did
And
you
they were
get
like,
the horse?
it is located here. Go find it. And so I was like, cool. So I just ran up there. I tried to get this horse. It was like a fucking saga trying to get this stupid horse.
Yeah. Taming the horse is a pain in the ass.
Because I didn't get the hang of like the calm mechanic for a
Mash
bit.
that shit.
And so she kept running away. And I was like, motherfuck. Okay. Like crawl out, run and then crawl. Like run
You
and
bring
then
sugar
crawl.
cubes?
No. No.
Horses love sugar cubes.
They sure do. But so
You can buy them
I'm
at the
trying to do that.
Staples.
I'm chasing this horse. I'm chasing this horse for a good 45 minutes around this mountain, trying to get her to just calm down and let me ride her. And every time I'm riding her,
Get bucked off.
she's a horse. That is the correct verbiage. Anyways,
Listen, you can ride women.
sure.
Sesame.
You. What? What did you say?
It's a South Park reference.
But I didn't hear you.
Just keep going.
Okay. Oh, that's also what she said. But
I love that you pulled that out of your ass, Andrea. That was so good.
Oh my god, I'm dying.
okay.
Just keep
So
going.
I'm chasing this horse around for like 30 to 40 minutes. Eventually it gets to a point where she's run off somewhere and I can no longer tell which tracks are new. She just snorted. She just snorted.
It was Brittany, by the
Brittany,
way.
are you gonna be okay? Will you live through this?
Yes.
Great.
Continue.
Glad to hear it.
It's hot in here.
Y'all are ridiculous. And I wish that I had heard what you said now because I don't know why you're laughing so hard.
Rock, paper.
I said scissor me, scissor me.
Okay.
Continue.
It's not as funny the second time.
It's not, but I'm sorry that I missed it.
It's okay. It's fine.
Anyways, chasing this damn horse around. Got lost to the point because it's a white horse in the snow.
Right.
So I was like, cool. I guess I'm done now because I legitimately don't know which way she's gone.
And there were animal prints everywhere.
It was just there were tracks everywhere because I'd been already chasing her for like 40 minutes. And so I just left and had to totally leave and come back a few days later after doing a story mission, which was kind of annoying. But then I got her.
You did get her.
I got her.
That's a pain in
She's
the ass.
beautiful, and I love riding her around. And I'm like, my horse is prettier than your horse. Nah.
What did you name her?
Artemis.
Ooh, lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so much better than my horse names.
What are you going with? You have a naming mechanism?
So one of the horses I got through a mission, but I'm not going to talk about that one. But well, no. So my first horse I named May, M-E-H, because it was a really shitty horse.
Yeah, the first horse you get is a little shit.
Yeah, and I paid $13.
Hey, that horse is just doing the best they can.
It did, but his name was May.
I mean, sure.
The horse that good. And then I bought a horse from the stable, and it looked like a zebra, so I called it Zebra Face.
Wait, did you get the brindle? I got the brindle.
I don't know if I got the brindle. It was white and it was black.
Is it a thoroughbred?
Yes, and it was it's
a
big,
brindle.
big horse.
A brindle is a pattern style that looks
Yeah. So I named that one
horse
Zebra
too.
Face, and then I stole one from a band at camp, and I named it Epona.
Yeah, because I had a black and white one, but it was different. It looked like almost like a Dalmatian, but more spots. So I
you
named it
Dapple?
Stracciatella, like the Italian name for chocolate chip ice cream.
That's really cute.
That is cute. I'm really bad at naming
And
things.
the guy at the stable was like, "No, that's a proper name for a horse." And I was
I
like,
mean, he
"Thanks,
straight
man."
compliments you no matter what.
Well, just let me believe that he only compliments me.
He only No, it was just my horse name. I have the best horse name.
Oh God.
I actually don't remember what I named my brindle horse now. I know the one before that was a black and white mare, and I named Roach.
Aw, that's cute.
But then I got the thoroughbred, and I was like, she's awesome.
Yeah.
But I don't remember what I named her. But now I have Artemis, and she's my main girl.
Artemis. But yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2, amazing game.
It's beautiful. And like I kind of was mentioning earlier, what I like about it is that it's a game where you can sort of have quiet time, if that makes sense.
No, 100%.
Like, all I did this past weekend was play Red Dead, and couldn't have been happier about it, because I've just been having this craving where I want to go to the woods, and I just want to not talk to anybody. I want to not have my phone. I want to not have any sort of technology. Just want to like chill out for a minute and look at nature. I can't really do that because I have a job and I have things to do. But what I can do is I can ride my horse in Red Dead Redemption out to the middle of nowhere. And it's almost the same thing because the game is so beautiful.
It is so beautiful. And also the music in that game just is...
Yeah.
This game takes you from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows. And I feel like no matter what you're doing, there is a specific piece of music to accompany that moment.
It was interesting that you say that, because I got a press release about the amazing artist lineup in the soundtrack, and I had not heard any vocal tracks to any of the music. Everything had been instrumental, and not that the music was bad, but I just felt like so much of the time it was so quiet and not necessarily really like impactful in the scene until one specific pivotal moment in the story where you have to get on your horse and ride from one location to another. And
Red Dead 1 did that.
and
Not
then-
Red Dead 1, but Red Dead Redemption.
Oh, see, I obviously never got to that point in Red Dead Redemption where then there's this like big song and you ride through the whole length of the song. And I was like, that's really cool. It was the D'Angelo song. No, not D'Angelo. Yes?
D'Angelo?
I think it's
I
D'Angelo.
was like, that doesn't
lyrics.
sound right, but maybe.
But no, it's some of the most moving moments. I feel
No,
like
maybe I'm screwing
the
this
songs.
up. I'll look it up.
Oh God.
They so Red Dead Redemption, that game is old, so I'll explain that moment because I haven't gotten to this one yet. It's on the ride to Mexico, so like you are on your horse and you just get across the bridge, and then a song kicks up, and like you just ride and you play the song, unless you fuck it up like I did and you accidentally like get off your horse, or
And then it
you
stops.
shoot your gun, or like you do something stupid and then
Yeah, no, it is
the music
D'Angelo.
stops. Oh,
The
all right.
new it's a brand new D'Angelo song that's never been heard before that debuted in the game.
Cool.
God, it's just so good. Just all of the singing and the campfire songs and the music that accompanies those moments. It's just really moving. And I'm someone who usually doesn't pay attention to the music in games.
Yeah.
It usually doesn't. It's not something I'm like, oh my God. But in this game, I'm definitely like, that was moving as fuck.
Yep.
And yeah.
I also really like the camp aspect, and like I enjoy that the camp feels alive. I enjoy that these people will walk around and talk to each other regardless of what you're doing, and you can either be part of it or not. And I don't know, I appreciate a lot of things about this game.
Yeah.
It's my little hidey hole.
It's definitely a game that encourages exploration in a way, and I said this on Jared's show on Red Dead Radio, and I may have said it on this show, in a way that I haven't felt since Skyrim. And exploration in the Elder Scrolls franchise is obviously a huge part of the building of that massive RPG. And I appreciated Jared having a spirited debate about the RPG mechanics in Red Dead. And while somebody tweeted to me that even internal Red Dead developers agree that the RPG mechanics are basically non-existent and don't impact gameplay, thank you, vindicated from the actual developers, that they don't really exist in this game.
Right.
regardless, I think the exploration element is such a front and center feature of this game that I wish that more people would understand that that's really what this game is about. And I think that some of our initial criticisms maybe came up from the fact that we were playing kind of under the wire, trying to get as much of the game experience as possible before the review embargo lifted. And now that we've had some time to kind of breathe with the game a little bit, we can appreciate all of those different small facets and how those little moments really make this game something truly special. Again, as Britt said, like, not to take away from some of the complaints or the gripes that we've had with the quality of life stuff that Steimer also mentioned, that stuff still exists, and I hope that maybe they refine that or can patch out some of the rough edges in that regard. But I don't think enough can be said for the immaculate work that Rockstar did creating a world that people want to get lost in and don't need to have a beacon on their map to enjoy and can just walk around or get on their horse and just get lost.
Yeah, you can just turn off the HUD. You can turn off like all of it and then just wander around and see where you end up, which is really cool. And that's why I kind of like that it doesn't have any RPG mechanics in that way, because you couldn't do that in Assassin's Creed. You'd wind up in an area where someone's really high level and just one-shots you. You'd be like, that feels like shit.
Well, I mean, which happened in Skyrim, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you think about some of these open worlds, it's like, yeah, you might just wander and find yourself in a place, but then you will just die.
You
And
might
like,
just die, yeah.
not to say that that doesn't exist in Red Dead, because
It's mostly like an animal comes out of nowhere and fucking...
Fuck those
Eats your
animals,
ass.
dude. Those are the, oh man. I would say, this game isn't a hard game.
I
and it's
haven't
not
seen any
meant to be.
alligators.
What? They're everywhere in Santorini.
I have seen none.
Oh,
You're not looking
girl.
If you've been in and around Santorini
have.
and haven't seen alligators,
I haven't.
They have seen me, let me tell you that
I have
much.
seen none.
Those little
well, there
fuckers.
is one thing in the main path that forces you to deal with an alligator.
Fair
so.
enough. Yeah. Well,
Just you wait.
just you wait, Henry Higgins. Just you wait.
Brandy, do you remember that reference?
Yeah, that was from, I don't remember.
Aww.
I remember learning about it, and then it didn't. It's
You
gone.
got my hopes up so
I know. I was
high.
like,
Is it the movie?
about this timer?
The movie. Obviously,
Audrey Hepburn.
yeah. I remember watching it on. You showed me in here in the
Yes.
studio. I do
Yes.
remember that. I do. I couldn't recall anything specifically, but I do remember the feeling of joy I had while watching it with you.
My Fair Lady.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Anyway, this game is great. You should play it.
Yes.
Agreed.
I 100% wholeheartedly agree. If you play video games, which you do, obviously, if you're listening to this show, especially 2 hours in, almost 2 hours in, this is a game to not be missed. You can wait until Red Dead Online launches. You can wait until PC comes eventually. There's no rush to play this game, but it's certainly a game of this generation that is not to be missed for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, I feel like Red Dead Redemption 2 and God of War are just some of like, holy shit, we got two of these bad boys in this generation, and that is incredible.
Yeah.
Year.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're going to have a full discussion on obviously Game of the Year next month, and
my
we
God.
obviously are going to be previewing the Game Awards, which is coming up in just a couple of weeks, you guys. Oh my gosh.
God.
But Red Dead certainly stakes its place in history. Jared had asked me when I was on the show, where does this fall in Rockstar's game library of like best Rockstar games of all time? And I said, this clearly is in the top 3. And to me, I named top 3 as GTA 5, Red Dead Redemption 2, and GTA 3 in no specific order, not ranking them.
Yeah.
But like those to me are the top 3 games, and I go into the details as to why they are. If you guys want to listen to that, please do go to friend of the show, Jared Petty's YouTube channel, youtube.com/hopblipandajump or hopblipandajump.com. You can check out Red Dead Radio. But this is like really, really fantastic work from Rockstar.
Yeah, it's easily become one of my favorite games of all time, like hands down. It's moved me in a way that few games have, and I can't wait to do a spoiler cast with you ladies.
Spoiler cast is happening. Speaking of which, let's talk about this now. We have a bunch of spoiler casts in the pipeline we've got to do. We've already agreed that we're going to save the Life is Strange spoiler cast until episode 2 is about to come out, which somebody just reached out to me about again, not episode 2, but like when's the spoiler cast happening.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea for us to do those spoiler casts right before the next episode launches because it'll be like fresh in everybody's mind. But we still said we want to do a Spider-Man spoiler cast eventually. We want to do a Red Dead spoiler cast. I hope someday we can talk about Assassin's Creed Odyssey spoiler cast.
Oh God.
I don't know if that's.
I will smile and nod during that
It's
conversation.
just more of like, I really, really, really enjoy that game. It's just gonna take me a while.
Okay. So maybe not. Maybe we'd put that off the table.
Yeah.
I think that one has to be thrown
I
off the
think that
table.
one has to.
So then maybe I just spoil it at some point.
Yeah, no,
Because again, like it's one of those things where because Assassin's Creed has so much more RPG mechanics, it's harder to get through.
Yeah.
Because you can't just go through it, whereas you can just run through the story of Red Dead if you want to.
I would like to talk to you about the story because Jason's been playing it, and I know he's like, I don't know how far into it, but I watch all the story cutscenes because I'm fascinated by the story.
The story
Yeah.
is really
Yeah.
good. It's just
It's like one of the best I've ever had, Assassin's Creed, and they just announced all of these amazing things that they're doing.
oh shit, we forgot to talk about that.
We didn't talk about that in the news block, but they announced that they're raising the level cap yet
That's
again.
not the most important part. The most important part
Go ahead.
is transmorphing or whatever you want to call it. Basically transmodification where you can put the shitty stat armor
yeah.
but the look of it onto the nice gear, which is what I am immediately
Is that your
going to
face
do.
paint thing you love so
Yes,
much?
my like weird Kratos armor thing
I love
that I love.
It's the hunter's.
It's so
vest.
good. Yeah, the hunter's vest.
I love the crown. This one like bullshit crown that I found, which I talked about on the show a couple weeks ago. I think them implementing that is fantastic. Is such a nerdy RPG thing to do that we don't see enough of in games, and that's a real commitment to their hardcore fan base. I think they're really investing in the idea that they've spent a lot of time building this massive world in Odyssey, and that they're allowing people who have completed the story, gotten to a specific point or a specific level cap, to regain ability points. They said, listen, we've seen all your progress, we know what you've done, we're gonna help you kind of like re-level yourself to go experience, because they talked about the stats. Let me see if I can pull this up here.
Statistics.
The stats of how many people finished the story but like had still so much of a open world completion yet to go. And they were like, clearly this means that we need to do something to incentivize people to go experience all this content that they've missed. And so I feel like Ubisoft is listening to their community in a way that we don't see a lot of developers do. Like, obviously, a lot of developers and publishers listen to their communities.
Sure.
But in terms of like real world changes to the actual gameplay of these games, like this is something that I'm super excited to see. And I think that this is indicative of the work that they've done on their other live service franchises, like For Honor, which they've done a lot of work on, like Ghost Recon, like Rainbow Six Siege, and obviously what we can anticipate them doing with The Division 2 next year. Oh my gosh, the headline on Eurogamer, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is getting gear transmog.
Dude,
Oh, yeah.
it's like the fact that they're doing it, that alone, I'm like, I will finish this game now, which sounds stupid, but one of the things that was frustrating me was like, I'd go into a thing and I'd see a cutscene and she wouldn't look the way I'd want her to look, and I'd be like, meh. Like I just
Right?
like have a little huff. Like, you know, like
You'd grunt a little to yourself.
So
Yeah.
we talked a little bit, but let me give you some real world facts here. So Tom Phillips over at Eurogamer writes, Odyssey has some snazzy looking armor and weapons that you have to replace them fairly quickly as you acquire higher level gear, but more common looking bits and pieces. You can pay to upgrade your armor at the blacksmith, but it's simpler to just keep equipping newer items instead. The feature arrives in the game later this month, and then you'll never have to choose between that lovely looking helmet and something that actually raises your power. Odyssey's level cap of 50 is also getting a boost after Ubisoft found people were hitting it without even exploring half of the game.
wow.
20 new levels will be unlocked later this month for a total of 70. Handily, if you're already at level 50, any existing XP you've earned will be automatically converted
Which is
into
so cool.
ability points when the new levels are unlocked.
Thank
It's really
you.
cool that they're able to do that. Like that they've built tech in such a way that it's still
That's
tracking on
awesome.
the back end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this. This is such a player first decision, and it makes me want to jump back in. I was playing Odyssey just a couple nights ago in my like constant conundrum of what
What
to
am I
play right
playing?
now.
Sure, yeah.
I jumped back into Odyssey because I'd been missing Cassandra, and I just can't get over not only how beautiful this world of Greece is that they've created, but just how dense it is for how large it is. And it's really just amazing. It's such a fantastic game. If you've never dabbled in an Assassin's Creed game, I cannot recommend Assassin's Creed Odyssey enough. And I love for once that this game is going to be part of Game of the Year discussions. I would be shocked if it does not make the Game of the Year nominees for the Game Awards. Like, I will be shocked
that would
and
be
disappointed.
surprising.
Because I firmly believe it deserves a place there in a year where there's a number of fantastic games that obviously deserve a place there. But I think this is really like best in class work from Ubisoft in this franchise.
This is your favorite AC?
I haven't finished the story because it's going to take a lot to topple Brotherhood from a gameplay and story perspective because for the same reason why I think GTA 3 and GTA 5 are vying closely for top positions. It's obviously not the best game because I fully believe like every developer makes a better game each year. The technology grows and they learn.
Right.
But for where that game was at the time that the industry was and what it did, it was very important, particularly from a franchise. It was a franchise-defining game, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood was. I don't think if Brotherhood hadn't been the game that it was, that Assassin's Creed would see Odyssey today, right? Like Assassin's Creed is clearly like the anchor of Ubisoft's AAA like portfolio of games. Clearly, we know that Just Dance is the moneymaker because they keep making that game, but
For the Wii.
but Assassin's Creed is like the game that people know Ubisoft for.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And that game routinely sells 10 million units when it launches, which is phenomenal. Which, by the way, there was a report that Red Dead Redemption 2 has shipped 17 million units
yeah, I
this
saw that.
week, which is
Was it 17? I
crazy.
thought it was 11. No, I guess it was 17.
The number I saw was 17. That is not, I believe, a Rockstar announcement. It was an analyst projecting how many
Bananas.
has been shipped. But
Not surprising, but bananas.
that would make it, I believe, would make it the number one selling game of 2018. But we don't have those numbers yet. But we will soon.
Yeah, it sold more copies. RDR2 sold more copies than RDR has in the entire 8 years that it's been a thing.
That's not
sold,
surprising.
that is
No, but it's still it's
shipped, yeah.
right. But it's
Shipped
still
to
shipped.
retailers.
I'm
same.
curious, though, in a year where Black Ops 4 is crushing it and where Call of Duty has been at the top. I was actually going to bring this up in the news segment.
shit,
and
I
I
haven't even played Call of Duty
completely
yet.
forgot.
All I want everyone to know is next Friday, Pokemon Let's Go comes out, and my life is over. No one, crickets.
No, here's the thing. I was about to say, in my mind, I immediately went to, how does Britt not have her copy yet? I should have emailed Nintendo. Why am I not on top of this? Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm underwater with the little... That was what was going on in my brain. That was why there was crickets.
Although it was funny because both you and I just looked at each other.
Okay,
and
so
went,
at least I know where
And
Steimer
in my
was.
mind, I'm like, oh no, why have I not reached out to Nintendo about this? That's me, like business Andrea just immediately took
that
over.
was what you were doing. What I was doing was judging her, which is what she thought.
What I will say though is that you can judge me all you want, but
I know, you
Pokemon
judge
Let's
me,
Go
it's
is going to
fine.
be the perfect game for me post RDR2 because it's that God of War syndrome where I hopped right back into Far Cry 5 after
God,
God
I
of
did
War,
the
and I'm
same.
like, this why am I doing? No, dude, I had a good time with Far Cry 5, but to
that's not
go
the way
from
to
a
do
fucking
that.
masterpiece like
Yeah.
God of War to that was just difficult. So now I'm in that same boat. I can't hop right back into Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I can't hop into Spider-Man. I'm gonna
fair.
have to go into Pokemon Let's Go. Have to in air quotes.
Palette cleanse.
And
yeah.
I'm very, very
gotta.
excited to do the midnight release. I'm assuming there's a
stretch
midnight
it
release. Because, I mean, it's Pokemon. Like, I am very happy to do the midnight release and experience it with everyone. There's something about that hype when everyone's playing at the same time.
What do you think about the news that came out earlier this week that they're finally going to track your steps in the background?
Thank God for Pokemon Go. Jeez Louise. Like, that has been so necessary. Are you familiar with what this means?
But that now it's going to be a step counter.
Well, essentially, they're going to allow you
Now
to
it's your
hatch
exercise
certain types of
mobile.
eggs that you couldn't hatch before,
Because
or
if
that
you-
you would have to
yeah.
go on specific.
If you wanted to
Tracks
hatch
to
your
do.
egg, Summer, you'd have to have the app open. But now you don't have to do that. Now you can
it
just kind
tracks
of...
it in the background. I see what
Right,
you're
which is
saying.
wonderful because, you know, in Washington it rains a lot. as you know. And
do know.
I like to walk on the treadmill a lot during said rainy days, but I can't hatch eggs the previous way it was because it's all about distance. But now it's tracking your steps.
And you're like, look at my treadmill. Look, it says how much
I'm hatching
distance
all my
I'm covering.
eggs. No, this is wonderful. This should have been a launch feature.
I can't wait
but
to
it's
see
fine.
how many people take this to the gym and they're like on the treadmill.
No, I actually enjoyed playing Pokemon Go when it first came out. I'm not going to try to pretend like I'm a Pokemon expert or that I know what I'm talking about.
Pichu.
But
What'd you call
I
it?
will
Pichu.
play. If you want to come here and you want to go like down by the marina on the Embarcadero, which is a very hot Pokemon
I feel like you've been
spot.
promising me this since
Let's go.
we
I
started.
feel like we've said a
good.
lot of
Pokemon,
things.
let's go.
Oh, yeah.
Pokemon, let's go.
Wah, wah.
Simon, are you in? You gave me a side eye like, am I not invited? But you just talk shit about Pokemon, so I don't know how you feel.
No,
Oh,
Simon, I'm
no,
gonna
that
put you.
wasn't what
Yeah.
that was.
Okay.
She made
That's
a
just a
mark.
regular side eye.
It was just
a
a
traditional regular Steimer side eye.
Yeah.
Okay, I know we got kind
Yeah.
of off track here, but I did want to
Yeah.
just mention that because I think that the Odyssey news was great, and if
Yes.
you guys are playing, you should go
job.
back, and hopefully Britt will have more to say about Pokemon very soon.
I'm so excited.
And
I'm gonna cry.
you guys, it's just I'm just overwhelmed with good feelings about video games, and we're in such an amazing period. Whether you're playing on PC or on console or on your Switch, which is technically a console, or on your phone with Pokemon Go, like I'm just so glad that there's just so many amazing games right now.
Yes.
There's
Yeah.
really like a spoiled for choice.
Oh my god, and it's just gonna get better. January.
It's like going to like a really
Resident
good
Evil
ice
2?
cream shop.
It's like going to an ice cream shop.
No, a really good ice cream
Oh
shop.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
one of those gourmet ones, and you're like, these flavors all sound amazing. Which one do I choose?
All of them.
I'm basically
pint of each,
thinking of
please.
Salt and Straw.
Yeah. A Los Angeles-based chain that has very delicious
Oh my
ice
god,
cream.
so good.
Oh my god, that sounds
It's
great.
not just LA. Well, LA based maybe. Yeah, there was one in Seattle. But yes.
Maybe.
All right, well, we're going to think about ice cream, and you should too. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to share our N7 memories. Stay with us. We'll see you in a moment. Welcome back, everybody. It's segment 3 of the What's Good Games podcast. And as we have mentioned earlier in the show, it is now time for us to celebrate the annual tradition of N7 Day. And Steimer very accurately pointed out none of us are wearing our N7 gear. But
I am wearing a very old Infamous t-shirt.
it's true. And I'm wearing a shirt that says, "Don't look back, you're not going that way," which is good life advice.
That is fantastic advice.
Britt, what are you wearing?
I am wearing the Ocarina of Time depiction of Sheik and Link back to back. She or he is on their harp and Link is on his Ocarina of Time and they're singing a song together. Well, they're not singing. They're
Why do you say she or he?
Because Sheik is Zelda, but Sheik pretends to be I believe a male warrior. I mean, I would say male warrior because like the boobs are like taped back and like there's big pectorals.
Like Joan of Arc style.
There you go. Because she's trying to hide her identity from the great evil Ganondorf. And so
But it's still Zelda.
But for the majority of Ocarina of Time, you think Sheik is just like this male Sheik warrior, and then you find out, oh, it's actually Zelda at the end. So that's why I said it that way.
Spoilers.
Oh man, 1998 spoilers are real. 20 years, baby.
That's lovely.
Thank you.
I feel like,
Keep looking at me. I like
well,
it.
I mean, I was gonna make a comment on your amazing collection of tank tops that have video game references.
Yeah, I have a lot. I need to stop. It's a
No.
real problem.
Never stop.
Steimer's like, yeah, it is. I've seen your
let go.
closet.
Girl, I've seen your closet.
Both of you have.
N7, Mass Effect,
But
BioWare.
Andrea Renee,
What?
before we do that,
Yes, we have a
Brittany,
thing we need to do.
is it time to talk about our turbo patrons?
it is time to talk about our turbo patrons.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I don't know.
Why? Wait, why?
I don't know.
She was just getting all the excitement.
We've gone a little off the
just
rails, you guys.
trying to
You
be-
know,
I'm trying to match you.
we don't get to be in the same room together
don't.
very often anymore, because life is hard. But when we do, sometimes we kind of lose it a little bit in a good way. We hope you guys are having a good time with us this week and enjoying the show. So, Brittany, for people who may not be aware, who are the Turbo patrons?
Our Turbo patrons are those who pledge $20 a month to us or more on Patreon, and we appreciate them very much. And what we like to do is we like to read their names every month because we're like, you guys are all of you are awesome if you support us on Patreon. Even if you don't, download our show, you give us a review, you comment on our social channels, we love you. But this is just an extra special shout out for our Turbo patrons.
Yes, because
Patreon.com/what'sgoodgames.
if you want to have your name horribly mispronounced
Oh, geez.
on
This
our
is
show,
the show to go to.
this is the tier for you.
Yep.
Steimer, are you in on this? You want me just me,
no,
Brittany,
because
to do it?
I don't have. You guys both.
Okay.
I don't want to do that over your shoulder. It's gonna be.
I feel like I need to start because of the name of this
Yes,
first one.
go for it.
And whoever made this account, I love you from now until the end of time. Two Guardians, Uldren Sov, and the Ace of Spades. Yes, I can't right now.
But you can. I
So
believe in
good.
you, Aaron. Aaron Saxton.
Adrian Eric Williams.
Alberto Videla.
Alex Regopoulos.
Andrew Susan.
Anthony Murphy.
Ariella Furman.
Ash Vulcan.
Bill Stillwell.
Billy Shibley.
Brian Harper.
Brooke Laree. Asia Harris.
Carol Peterson.
Kathy Coughdog Lucas.
Cool Rat Daddy.
Christian Rodriguez.
Dale Son.
David Icolucci.
Dominic Weller.
Donato Sinaccio III.
AKA the next protagonist of Assassin's Creed. Dustin Lewis.
E. Benjamin Chenkis.
I say your name wrong every month.
Irizarry.
Irizarry.
Elizabeth Brooke.
Elmo Shell.
Emily Kent.
Ferris Atier.
Flying Saucer Media.
Gio Corsi.
Gregory Horton.
Ivan Bergerano.
Jared Howard.
Jason Davis.
Jason Crair.
Jay
What?
Mats Mahui.
No, it's just this month.
Oh, this guy. Jason Demers. I know him.
That dork. Jesse Spencer.
Joe Kennison.
Joe Schleif.
John Drake. I know that guy too.
Oh my god, funny how that works. Giselle Bassa.
Kevin Dunkel.
Kia B.
Leviathan Masters Barella.
Louis Craich.
Also, wait, is your name actually Leviathan?
I mean,
that's badass.
That's kind of amazing.
Lincoln Davis.
Lincoln Thurber.
Lucas Cheney.
Mark Dratza.
Martha Emery.
Matt Howell.
Matthew Godere.
Lanthas Islands.
Okay, what was that?
What was that voice?
I hit puberty. It's fine.
Melanthius, I'm sorry. Michael Shenholtz.
Mohammed Fahi Mohammed.
Molly Bittner. Oh, congratulations. Molly just got married.
Yeah, she did. She having a
congrats,
great
girl.
time. I'm seeing those Facebook pictures, Molly. I'm jealous. Nambui.
Nicole Humphrey.
Noel Navarez.
Ozzy Mejia.
Paige Porter.
Patrick Weller.
I lost my Pete Shoemaker.
Professor Metal Gear.
Punctified.
Pure Blue Octopus.
RJ Bryan.
Regan Himson.
Ripped Gamers.
Rob Leonard.
Robert Guerrero.
Roland Bala.
Ross Haney.
Ryan B.
Sam.
Simon Bergstead.
San Stevenson.
Steph Wu.
Stephanie Fitzwilliam.
Stephen
God, baby
Insler.
girl, you're going fast. Stephanie DuPont.
Sydney Carr.
Tara Bruno.
Teresa Enert, my mama.
Thomas Jennings.
Timothy Bennett.
Tommy Larson.
Trent Pennington.
Trevor Saki.
Troy Spradlin.
Tyler
Veritanuda? Wait, Veritanuda. Wait, Veritanuda? What is that?
Yeah. Will Hernandez.
And Zach Hershey. Thank you so much. Again, we say this as often as we can, and we can't express it enough, that What's Good Games would not exist if it were not for our fantastic supporters on patreon.com/what'sgoodgames. You guys keep the lights on, you keep the microphones going, you keep the website servers live. Everything we do at What's Good Games is dependent on patreon.com/what'sgoodgames. If you like what we do, if you enjoy this show, if you could toss us $1, that would be fantastic. We hope that you guys would consider contributing to our Patreon, and can't thank our Turbo patrons and all of our patrons enough again for that support. So thank you. One more thank you for the legendary Jennifer Hale, who plays FemShep,
Oh, that was great.
one of my favorite video game characters
Andrea way.
of all time.
I've heard.
I want to play like the Mass Effect theme here. I feel like
I
I
don't.
might need to like pull
I'm
it
just
up.
gonna do this
but
one. Do 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 do
What?
do.
That's
No.
no.
That was the first one that came to mind.
That's the Jurassic Park thing.
No, it is.
There are dinosaurs in space. It's fine.
mean, Rex kind of looks like
He
a
looks
dinosaur.
like a
I'm sure
dinosaur.
he's related to the dinosaur.
Hold on, let me see
Species.
if I can get this going here.
Okay, fine.
I don't
I
think
see how it
dinosaurs
is.
had 8 testicles.
It's a good
Maybe
point.
they did, but I don't know.
Do we really know?
I don't know. I'm not verified with the dinosaur people.
Wait, is this a Mass Effect
Aliens
1
all-
theme?
There you go.
There we go.
Oh, there it is.
This is the original Mass
Oh
Effect.
God, that takes me back.
So good.
Oh, I'm getting nostalgic. It's the whiskey. I'm tearing up a little bit. Oh man.
I'm gonna
Music's
get the
so
Mass
good.
Effect 3 theme because that was really what fucking was the tearjerker for me. Oh my gosh.
Man, oh man.
Oh, sad
one?
Sad piano.
Right? Let's just have a moment for the piano.
Ah, all right. The mood has been set.
Those fucking Reapers. Pieces of shit.
Assholes.
Okay. I'm
Okay.
gonna do a fade out here.
Oh, that was dramatic. That was
Oh,
good.
look at that.
Look at
Beautiful.
that fancy shit. DJ Andrea in the house.
Clearly you guys know from listening to the show for many weeks, hopefully, that we are big fans of BioWare as a development studio for their multiple franchises. But N7 Day and representing what Mass Effect as a franchise means to us as a gaming community is super special for people that have been fortunate enough to play. And there's just something emotional about this franchise that I personally have never felt with any other video game franchise ever in my life as a gamer. How about you two? Is there...
It's not the only
Would you
one,
s-
but it's definitely like one of the few.
You know, it's interesting because when I first played this game, I was very new, so wet behind the ears, if you will, when it came to video games journalism and the industry as a whole. And I grew up in a really small town where I don't know how to articulate this, but I never felt like the world was quote against me, and that's dramatic and all. But I guess what I'm trying to say is when I played it at the time that I did, I don't think I fully appreciated it for what it was. And I think if I were to replay the franchise today, I would appreciate it a million times more. But because it's been so long since I've played it, I feel like my initial playthrough didn't quite grant me the appreciation I should have for it today. What I can say is I really love the series and I love the franchise, but I feel like if I played it today, like I said, being as involved in the industry as I am and having more of a broader view of the trials and tribulations that face especially women in power and all that, I think I would have gotten a greater satisfaction from it. And I'm assuming that's probably why some of the reason why you and probably you appreciate FemShep as much as you did. A powerful female character with red hair.
Yeah, I mean, yes, the red hair was certainly a qualification, but what I love so much about what BioWare does is that I created my FemShep in a bubble and she was mine and had my experience. And when you go online and look at YouTube gameplay videos of people's male Commander Shepard or female Commander Shepard and just how different they all look. And I think that is really why people connect with this game on a really emotional level, because so few games allow you to not only physically transform a character to how you want them to look, but also through narrative
Personality.
choices allow you to kind of customize this character to be like, if I was answering this question, how would I answer? Or how would I want my Shepard to answer? And there's just not enough games that do that. Obviously, BioWare is not the only company that does this kind of narrative work in video games, but there's just not many people who do it and then thus do it well.
Right.
Yeah, and it's honestly the series top of my list that I want to replay. Because, like I said, I played the first one when I was just started blogging about video games, and I hadn't quite developed that appreciation for game narrative. And for the choices and the impact that your choices could have on a story. And so that's why I'm like, I need to replay this. And I've tried to go back multiple times, but then obviously nowadays it's like I'm in the industry and I need to play more specific games to keep on top of things. And I don't have the time.
Right.
But it still holds up from what I've played.
Yeah, Mass Effect, the first one obviously, came out when I was fresh out of college. I had just started working doing PR for Microsoft Game Studios, which the first game was published by Microsoft Game Studios, was not on PlayStation. And I remember picking it up and thinking, holy shit, this is what games are now. Because during college, I didn't play really anything except maybe my roommate's Wii, right? Like when you're drunk and you're like, whoa, mini games,
Bullied, we're bullied.
But like otherwise, I wasn't playing anything. I was studying and I was earning my degree. So to come back into it and have it, and just I remember the first time when you're like walking up into the Citadel to meet with the council. I don't know. I just remember like this feeling of almost just overwhelmed. Like just like I'm just what the fuck? Like what? This is insane to me. And I think a lot of it has to do with what you just mentioned, Andrea, where it's like I made the character look the way I wanted her to. She was mine. She was going to speak the way I wanted her to speak. She was going to do the things I wanted her to do. This was going to be how I wanted it to go down and not just the way someone told me it was going to go. And that was very, very special. And also it had a cast of characters that were just incredible, and I wanted to actually be friends with and it gave me the greatest love of my life that doesn't exist, which is Caden. And R.I.P. Anyways, and I think it did stakes in an interesting way. What I liked a lot about the first one that the other one sort of lost was it was more like very like old school, more traditional RPG, and that maxing out sort of the chat allowed you to gain access to, by chat I mean like the either charm or intimidation sort of things. You could then get story to do what you wanted it to do a little bit more. You could kind of like fudge around some of the quote unquote harder decisions that they'd put in there, which is how I like to play it. But then later they sort of lost that, and I think this is getting off tangent a little bit, but
this whole segment's about tangents. Just go, girl.
I think that is why, for me personally, the ending of Mass Effect 3 struck me in such a raw and wrong way, was because traditionally leading up to it, the game had taught me I could do these things, but there was a winnable state in them at all times. There was a winnable state with Rex. Granted, Ashley Caden, there was not a winnable state. There was always
Ashley can GTFO.
but also I did. But also I didn't like Ashley.
Away.
Either you really hate Ashley or you really hate Caden. Either way, that choice I don't think is really. It's not difficult. But my point is like that's not a difficult choice.
Yeah.
You ask anybody on the street, they know immediately who they're gonna kill. They don't care. That wasn't like a gut wrenching moment for anybody. I don't think. And so for Mass Effect 3 to come along, and then Mass Effect 2, everybody on your suicide squad can live. It's called a suicide mission, and yet everyone's fine.
Everyone lived on mine, baby.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I played through Mass Effect 2 5 times to get my perfect Mass Effect playthrough.
Of course.
And I, to this day, have never done that with a video game since.
I mean, that's a beefy game to play 5 times.
Girl, trust me, I know.
I wish we had that free time today.
I really
know,
do.
right?
And like that was what's so special to me about Mass Effect 2, and why Mass Effect 2 remains one of my favorite games of all time. And like the more I think about it and the older I get, the more I feel comfortable saying, is Mass Effect 2 my favorite game of all time? And somebody recently tweeted to me when I asked you guys for your stories, which I'm going to read here in just a moment, that Mass Effect 2 was their least favorite in the franchise. And I just want to remind people, because I was like, in my mind, obviously, I have a kind of distorted perception of how great Mass Effect is. So I was like, let me look up, because the whole genesis for me playing Mass Effect in the first place was because I was in my first year producing and hosting for Mahalo Video Games. I had the distinguished opportunity and honor to be invited by Spike's GTTV, where I first got to work with Jeff Keighley, to be part of a panel talking about the Game of the Year nominees. One of these nominees, Mass Effect 2. I hadn't played this game yet. So I was like, well, obviously I have to play this game. By the way, it was up against God of War 3 that year. I was like, well, obviously I need to play. And my friend at the time, Joshua Ovenshire, who has now become famously known as Jovenshire from Smosh Games, was like, you have to play this game. You're going to love it. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm not really into like those RPG games.
Sounds like you.
It was me. And so I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. I rage quit Mass Effect 2 the first time I played it. That opening scene where you're like learning your powers and having to do cover and fighting against like the bots on the ship. I just was like, the controls are clunky. I don't like it, blah, blah, blah. I rage quit. And then I was like, I have to go back because they're going to interview me about the game and I need to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back and I forced myself to get through that opening section. And then I became hooked in a way that I have not, I don't think, become hooked on a game ever since. And the reason I played that, and the reason I bring this up is because I looked up the Mass Effect 2 awards for the year that it was nominated in 2010, which is crazy to think of. That's when that game came out, 2010. Just for the Spike Video Game Awards, it was nominated for Game of the Year, Studio of the Year, Best Xbox 360 Game, Best PC Game, Best RPG, Best Original Score, Best Performance by a Human Male, Best Performance by a Human Female. 2 people nominated, both Jennifer Hale for Commander Shepard and Yvonne Strahovski for Miranda Lawson. Yeah. Martin Sheen was nominated for The Elusive Man.
Yeah.
And good. Best DLC. And I still maintain to this day that Lair of the Shadow Broker is the best DLC I've ever
Lair
played.
of the Shadow Broker was, I think I reviewed that for IGN.
Inside
Really?
Gaming Awards,
Yeah.
Machinima, who I went on to work for, nominated it for Most Compelling Character, Best DLC, Best Original Score. IGN nominated it for a whopping, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 awards,
Damn.
including Best Blockbuster Game.
Yeah, I think I think a lot of people feel
Best Boss. Yeah, there was a lot of like the reason I bring this up is because sometimes people who haven't played it in a while and don't remember, like, this game was massively impactful across our industry for a variety of reasons, and I think that's why it's really stuck with me, and that's why BioWare continues to have the reputation that it does.
Yeah. I think a lot of people who would say that Mass Effect 2 is their least favorite because that is technically the most streamlined of all of them. It had the least amount of RPG mechanics in it. Because 1 was like all about the RPG mechanics. 2, they super streamlined. And 3, they kind of brought a few things back because they think they kind of overcorrected.
Yeah, they kind of like got the happy medium, right?
Yeah. But so I can understand why somebody would say that is their least favorite. Story-wise, I would disagree with them. But I do think, like, in terms of mechanically and like what the game does, that makes sense to me. But so I did a sort of a like a downhill sort of anyway, I'll just say what I'm going to say. This isn't coming out right. I played Mass Effect 1 7 to 8 times. I don't remember exactly. I played 2 about 3 times. And then I played Mass Effect 3 once. Like, that's...
I also played Mass Effect 3 once.
Did not play any of the DLC for Mass Effect 3.
No, I didn't either. I'm thinking about it. So what I'm doing on my computer is I'm trying, because when I first tried Mass Effect, I wrote about it when I was still blogging at IGN.com. And I remember trying to play it, and I could not get into it. And I think what happened for me was that the first game I played of BioWare's was Dragon Age Origins. And that came out in, 2011? And Mass Effect came out in 2009, 2010?
2010.
2010. So in Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age to me is like your Mass Effect.
Dragon Age came out in November 2009.
Oh, wow. Okay. So,
November 3rd, 2009, Dragon Age Origins.
So then when did Mass Effect come out? 2010?
The original Mass Effect?
Yeah, the original Mass
Oh,
Effect.
the
2007.
original. Oh, sorry. I was talking about Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect release date.
Okay.
It was 2007.
The original Mass Effect was November 16th, 2007.
Okay. So see, Mass Effect had even been out for like 2 years, and I still hadn't played it yet. But for me, Dragon Age, I remember Origins was like my like holy shit BioWare moment, where this is my character. This is the decisions I'm making, and that was my like pivotal, like holy shit, this is what games can be moment.
Yeah.
And because that setting speaks so much to me, I remember when I first tried Mass Effect, I couldn't get into it. I played it for a couple hours. I got
But
to
Brittany,
the Citadel.
there are no trees.
There are no, I know, but
It's in space.
but that honestly, like space and futuristic spacey shit, like I usually don't click with it. And so I think that's what was happening then. And again, I had just started looking at games from a critical perspective, or tried to. This is literally when I first tried starting to blog about video games. And I didn't have, all I knew were like JRPGs. That was like my thing. So Mass Effect was a whole new ball game, and it didn't click with me right at first. But I remember I hopped back into it later, and I was like, oh, this is pretty fucking cool. Now, granted, by this point, I already played Dragon Age Origins, so I kind of had a gist of the formula. Granted, both games played vastly different. Dragon Age Origins obviously had like the 5 or 6 different decisions you could make.
Right.
There was no wheel, and
Yeah. They were different, but it was in similar style in terms of like, okay, I make choices, and this is how the gameplay is very different. But
right. So for that reason, I don't think it blew me away probably as much as it did for you, because I'm like, okay, I've already played this.
Yeah.
In a sense. But obviously I've played Mass Effect multiple times. I played 2 once, and I played 3 once, and I finished 3 after it had been modified. The ending had been modified. And so I remember when I finished 3, I was like, what's the big deal? Why is everyone so upset? And I think that's because, again, I wasn't sure how to critically look at a game and understand why people were upset as you were, which obviously today I would be.
Yeah.
And 2, I was like, okay, that was a happy ending. Next, moving on.
Happy ending.
Happy ending. In what world is any of that happy?
Well, 3.
The whole ending of 3 to me is just catastrophic.
Well, don't you see Shepard taking a breath at the end of 3 in the modified ending?
If you get all the way through the credits and you have a specific ending,
And you do the quote unquote bad option, which is technically the good option because that's what the game has been telling you to do since day one.
And that's
Right.
what and whatever it was, I remember she took a breath that day, and I'm like, oh, she's alive. And I was like, that was
But
great.
even
Why are
if
people
she's
so
fucking
mad?
alive, she's like
the universe
in
is
a pile
destroyed.
of rubble. The
Yeah.
universe is destroyed. Like
Right.
there's-
The mass relays are
the
gone.
mass relays are gone, which is not the end all be all. They're still faster than the light travel, but it's still like not the best.
Right.
It's gonna take a while.
Well, it's like there's still like the mystery, which Andromeda starts to explore, like where the mass relays come from, and like how does civilization work with these mass relays, and what is this new interconnected thing that they are exploring in Andromeda, and that's what I am really hopeful for. That there's going to be more. Am I completely kind of sort of devastated I never get to have another Shepard story? Of course.
Yeah.
But I think what's great about that trilogy is that it makes you care for these characters in such a way that we so rarely see, and which is why I really commended what Rockstar was doing with the Vandalin gang. But I want to read some of these responses that I got from Twitter, because I had tweeted, it's N7 day. I can't express in a tweet how much the Mass Effect series means to me, but would love to hear your stories. Hashtag Liara's Bay. Because I romanced Liara through all 3 games. I started out because, for people who don't know, I never played Mass Effect before I played Mass Effect 2. I played Mass Effect 2 first. And then I went back after my second playthrough of Mass Effect Mass Effect 2 to play Mass Effect. And then I romanced Liara.
Yeah.
And then I brought that save into Mass Effect 2 for my 3rd playthrough and subsequent 4th and 5th playthroughs, trying different difficulty levels and different loadouts. Because at first I hated playing as a biotic. Mostly because I did not understand it. I just went for
I fucking love space magic.
now
Give me all that space magic.
but now I can't play as anything but an adept. It's like, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm an
I
adept for
think I
now to the
usually
end of time.
do whichever one mixes the two. I forget the name of the class.
Yeah, they changed the class system in Andromeda
They
so
did.
that you could allow yourself to play with different classes, but also keeping a core set of powers, which I really loved. So on Twitter, Camille Van Dunn, friend of the show, tweets, one of my absolute favorite series of all time. I have to disagree though and say hashtag Garrus is bae.
Oh, 100%.
No.
Oh.
wait, there's more. Hannah Ramu, commissions closed, writes, I'm super late to the N7 party. I played ME1 before. I just finished my first trilogy playthrough a month ago. I've always been a bigger fan of fantasy than sci-fi, but Mass Effect got me into it more than anything else. Also, I romanced Garrus and cried a lot after saying goodbye to him at the end. I couldn't stop crying periodically after finishing the game, and my husband wasn't sure what to do with me.
How do you console that?
I've had those moments.
Dude.
Martha Emery writes, Mass Effect 3 was one of the only video game endings that made me cry. Agreed. Joshua Crow writes, my favorite achievement is beating the first game without using any weapons at all. I was a biotic femship. God.
Oh my
I had
God.
Liara and Tally with me. The trick was using warp, then lift, or singularity, then push. And so if you haven't heard any of our Anthem coverage, they've brought what you love about biotic combinations from Mass Effect into Anthem in a really cool way. And if you haven't watched any of the new gameplay that they just released, you should. Wish I could play it again and on the go with my Switch. Don't hold your breath. I doubt a Mass Effect collection on Switch is ever happening.
Oh, man.
Mario Void tweets, I picked up the first Mass Effect about 6 months after it first came out. I couldn't sleep, so started playing around 3 a.m. on Saturday and didn't stop until I beat the main story on Sunday. #2hooked.
That's how I
shit.
played those games.
Really?
So I played Mass Effect. My diet was a few bags of popcorn, Smart Food
that's
white
right. I
cheddar
remember
popcorn,
this.
some
That's
Snapple
a lot of
iced
good fiber.
teas, and that was it. I was eating, and then I would go to. I had like my controller by my bed and my TV remote by my bed. My TV was in front of my. It was just like I was like in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Those old people, like the grandmas and the grandpas. Like I just lived in the bed, and I would sit there and I would for an entire weekend from Friday to Sunday. I wouldn't leave the bed except to like pee. Like that was
That
it.
sounds like an amazing existence, honestly.
It
Sounds
was
great.
great.
It
sounds so nice.
It literally sounds like what I want my next vacation to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where I just like marathon.
You just like
Mass
roll
Effect.
over, grab the controller, turn it on, grab the remote for the TV, turn it on, and then you just sit and you play.
Oh, so good.
Oh, man.
William Ramos tweets, Mass Effect 1 and 2 are amongst some of my all-time favorite games. 2 especially is easily in my top 5 of all time. At the time 2 came out, I was blown away by how different each class felt, especially when comparing it to 1. For that reason, I replayed 2 dozens of times just to play each of the classes and make different decisions in the game. The game truly is an infinity playable title for me, and the gameplay, the relationships, story, and characters are all so fantastic.
God.
I couldn't have
I'm
said
really
it better
I'm,
myself.
I'm like thinking to myself, okay, I have a week before Pokemon Let's Go comes out. Like, can I get Mass Effect in between that?
if you marathon it, maybe. But
If
I mean,
you
like,
do not eat anything
man.
but 2 bags of Smart Food white cheddar popcorn and 3 Snapple iced teas.
Oh, just even hearing that theme music earlier,
Dude,
I'm
the
like,
music.
that was turkey.
The boop.
the like beeping and booping, whatever it is.
The synth music, it's so good.
That's what it is. You know, Dying Light has that same sort of music in it, and every time I hear it, I think about Mass Effect. And damn,
this is the music that I always think of. Hold on.
I should go.
This is not the music.
go.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Is that the galaxy map? Oh, wait, what?
Whoa, whoa.
What is that?
What's that? Someone's having
What's
fun
happening?
on the piano.
Why
I
is
don't
there
know.
a piano?
Dear piano man, please
Please
leave.
stop.
We don't want your
Why?
contributions.
Why, piano man?
We don't want your contributions here.
What's going on?
Oh, I'm sorry. There's another YouTube tab open on my computer.
Okay, let's go back to nostalgia.
There we go.
Do you remember when the datapad app came out for iPad back in the day? I would just read that shit at bed.
I could listen to this song.
Oh
like,
my
on
god,
loop
it
forever.
literally takes me back
Yes.
like 10 years. I'm just like, oh, ah. Okay.
I love it so much.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Flute.
Okay, sorry.
And just like wandering around your ship and talking to all the people, your crewmates, and figure out like what new things they have to say to you, and open up the map and picking your next destination. It's just, oh my god.
Yeah. I miss it.
Oh, I miss it.
I miss it too. Oh my gosh, I'm getting emotional, you guys. If you guys have been listening to this and you've never played Mass Effect and you are kind of wondering like what all the hype is about, first off, thank you so much for making it this deep into a Mass Effect heavy segment, not knowing what the heck we're talking about.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that is a big takeaway, and that I would hope people who've never played Mass Effect that would maybe be willing to try it, is that it's a game that has really big themes, really tackling some small, intimate issues in friendships and romantic relationships, and then tackling really big issues of how do we save humanity in the face of annihilation, and what kinds of sacrifices does that entail? And from the big decisions to the small decisions, from deciding who you're going to romance and who's going to be your friend, and which crewmates you're going to go on your loyalty missions with, all of those decisions and that decision-making process is a reason why the three of us are such dedicated fans to BioWare as a studio, because so few developers are able to kind of nail those decisions in a way that makes it feel real and like it has weight. And that's a hallmark of a BioWare game. And I have yet to find a game who's given me those decisions that feel the same weightiness. I got a glimpse of it in certain series from Telltale. I think they've done some really great narrative work. I've got a glimpse of it even in newer franchises that are exploring what narrative means, like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And
Detroit Become Human
is a fantastic example of a game that really kind of makes you make hard decisions. But there's so few that do it and combine it with this massive open world, or essentially like linear and open world combined gameplay. And I think it's something that I look forward to exploring and what they're going to do with Anthem, and hope that they can capture some of that magic. And I think that's why it's easy, I think, for me to say that's one of my most anticipated games, because I'm hoping and yearning to replace this experience I'm so sorely missing in my gaming life.
I hate to say it, but I feel like if that's what you're looking for in Anthem, you're going to be sorely disappointed.
Yeah, I would just about to say, yeah, maybe don't go into it with that.
I think going next BioWare,
it's fair for you to temper, obviously, the expectation. They have even done so on several occasions, to be like, this is geared towards more of a multiplayer action-focused game. They've said that, and I think it's less about the emotional impact and more about like, I just need more of a BioWare game in my life. And if it's a hybrid of another game that has meant a lot to me, like Destiny and Destiny 2 has, if I can mash up the things I love about playing online with my friends and the action and the amazing combat that I love in Destiny, combined with even a little bit of that amazing storytelling that I get from BioWare, then I'm going to be like, please just punch.
Please just punch.
Are you guys not excited? Am I the only one?
No,
that is?
I'm not so for Anthem. I am not putting it in that
category,
I suppose. Like,
you think it can't live up to Mass Effect hype?
No.
I
think it's a different thing. I think it's like, it's just comparing two different games completely. And I think I'm like, who knows? I could get more playtime out of Anthem just because it is a multiplayer game. It is designed to have more legs than something that is single player. So
even though I did play that single player game 5 times.
I mean, yeah.
So.
I mean, I played the first one 7 to 8 times. Like, and that was a long ass game. It was not.
Yeah.
So yes,
because I don't obviously think it's going to have the gameplay of Destiny that you love so much, and I don't think it's going to have the Mass Effect story and intimacy that you love so much. I think it's going to have a little bit of everything that you like, but I don't know if it's going to excel at one or the other or both.
Are you saying this game is going to fail?
No, not at all. I'm besides Resident Evil 2, this is my most anticipated game for next year.
Yeah.
I'm very, very excited for it, but I think I just have different expectations. If this was BioWare's next Mass Effect game or BioWare's next Dragon Age game, then I would have those high expectations. But for this, I'm expecting something just a little different, a little new, something that doesn't feel completely BioWare-esque, but has some of that charm and spice to it.
And also, this is the first time I've ever built a game like this. So, like, you can't go into it with those expectations of, like, this will be a Mass Effect or this will be a Dragon Age, because it is just so wildly different for that team. And
I never normally say this, but, like, I feel like I don't get, like, fangirl excited about anything. And this is, like, the one thing I'm fangirl excited about. I feel like you both are like, wah, wah,
no, I'm not.
And I'm like, no,
I'm so
no, come on,
Andrea.
Just let me believe. Just let me have unbridled enthusiasm.
You know, Andrea, I
and
waited.
unrealistic, unchecked fucking expectations about it.
I waited. How long did we wait to play Anthem at
Yeah.
E3? It was longer than I would normally wait for anything in life. It was like 6 hours. We sat there and waited for our appointment.
6 hours?
Because like our appointment, like the conference ended, and then our
Like,
appointment
like, hour
wasn't
and a
until like it was one of the last ones.
So no, what I would say, like as a friend, if you have realistic expectations in your head logically, but as
Yes.
a complete fangirl, you're like, oh my god, then I'm gonna leave you the hell alone.
Yeah, that's fine.
You go on. I know what it's like. Trust me. I'm like queen of hype over here. I get so excited for Pokemon Let's Go, and I'm like, oh my god, it's gonna be the best thing ever. When I know exactly what the fuck I'm getting logically.
Yeah.
I will leave you alone. But as long as I just don't want this game to come out and you be like, it's like Destiny 2, where I kind of love it, kind of don't like it sometimes, and it's not what I wanted.
As we discussed earlier in the show, it is all about expectation setting.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
that's all I'm saying here is like make sure like be I'm hyped. This is my most anticipated game next year. And anytime I've gotten hands on it with it, I'm just like, yes.
Oh yeah.
This is what I want. Give me some of this. I enjoy this. But I'm not thinking of it in the same way that I think of a Mass Effect or a Dragon Age, because I just know it's a different beast. That's all.
But you know what? You go on with your bad self.
Thanks.
Life is too short to not be overly hyped about something. I'm overly hyped for a lot of shit. And you know,
That's
sometimes
fair.
we call that Britifying shit. Everything's great.
I just think
You're
of, like,
being
a Brita
Britified right
filter.
now.
Thanks. And I think about my career or my presence as an on-camera person, and I like try to always mitigate my enthusiasm in the sake of like being as balanced as I can. And I just can't, because Mass Effect has such a profound experience on me that it let me try Dragon Age, because little known fact, the only Dragon Age I've ever finished was Inquisition. I've never finished any of the other ones. I barely dabbled in 2, barely dabbled in Origins. And Inquisition was really the game that I like gravitated towards after playing so much Mass Effect. I was like, I clearly need more of whatever BioWare is selling me. And so I really loved that game. It was my game of the year, the year it came out. And I just like, I don't get this like excitement about anything, and I don't know how to explain it or what it is.
Yeah.
No, listen,
know?
we're all in this business because we love video games, and there are certain things that just get us like, for me, it's a lot of shit, but for you, you have a more level head than I do sometimes. So you are having a moment with one of the most important franchises to you, and you don't need to explain it. It's just, we're fans of this industry. So you know what? You go on with your bad self.
Thanks.
And maybe
Thanks,
Samurai will be
friends.
proved wrong. Maybe this will be one of the best shooters ever.
What? I'm not saying anything that's going to be negative. I'm so
No,
confused.
no. I think what happened was that we're like this, because you mentioned
No, you
Destiny-
guys were
yeah.
just trying to remind me like Anthem is not Mass Effect.
Yes.
and it's not going to be
And that's a
Destiny-
fair reminder.
right?
And I think that's a good thing for us to remind everybody else. But I do have to ask Steimer just briefly, if you could just tilt a little
Oh,
bit
boy.
to your right so Femshep
To my
behind-
right?
so Femshep behind you can get her short moment in the sun. That is my autographed lithograph. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
That Jennifer Hale
It
signed.
just looks like
Every
a
time
print,
I've
not a
met Jennifer
litho.
Hale, I've made an ass of myself.
What? No, she's great.
No. I've made an ass of myself. I've been like, I'm jealous of all those romance scenes with Kaden. Like, that's
And
something
she's
I
like,
told
yeah, I
her.
recorded in a booth alone.
And she
It's like, I
awkwardly laughed.
actually never did.
I
any
know,
of
and
that
this
in
is again
person.
before I understood how shit works in this shit, and I was like, okay, that was an awkward.
You're
thing
like,
to
you mean
say.
you're not mocapping those
But I do
scenes?
have my autographed thing signed or framed as well. So hey, yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been an amazing show. We hope that you are inspired to maybe go replay through Mass Effect yourself, whether it
I
be
am.
the new Xbox One X enhanced for Andromeda, or maybe you're doing backwards compatibility. I know a lot of you, like me, are a little salty that they never ported the collection from PS3 to PS4. Maybe someday we'll get a Mass Effect collection, a proper one, for Xbox One and PlayStation 4 and PC. But we never know. I would buy. You sell that to me for $100 and I'll buy it. And we hope that if you are fans of Mass Effect and know or have a a clearer picture of what N7 means to you, that you appreciated this conversation. And please feel free to always reach out to us and let us know whenever you want to talk about BioWare. We're down.
And banging.
I mean, Avi.
Alistair.
We'll have a full on secret segment about this eventually.
Oh yeah.
We still have it listed, I think, in the Patreon as like a producer segment. Like, do you want to hear what Britt and Steimer want to know what an Angara's sexual anatomy looks like?
yeah,
that's true.
I could talk about that till the cows come home. Let's do it. Someone. Patreon.com/games.
Don't forget, we'll be streaming tomorrow if you guys are listening to this on Friday with Kind of Funny at twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames for XO18. It's starting at 12:45 p.m. Pacific time, and we got our happy hour Q&A for patrons at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Until then, we will see you next week. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. Goodbye.
Goodbye from the Muppets.
Have a fantastic evening.
Oh God. Oh no.